Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, not on Twitch, but here on YouTube. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota with absolutely zero tech support. And with me today is my very, very special guest, Mr. Ty Beard.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Ty.
Hi, Nick. Oh, hi, Nick.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I was just broadcasting a bunch of silence over to Twitch, which was fantastic. Don't even ask. It's
I don't even,
yeah.
Twitch.
Yeah. Well, okay. Listen, Mr. Gamer Chair. Guys, look at this guy's chair. What is even happening? I don't know what Twitch is. He's sitting in a pro gamer chair.
Now, what have I done to make you treat me this way, Nicholas?
Your chair is giving you fake traps. Since gamers don't lift, your chair has to do it for you.
I gotta say one thing. I bought this chair because it was rated as very comfortable, and it is dang comfortable. It's the Omega thing, whatever. So.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, don't hassle me like that. I
was gonna ask what's going on with the glasses. I'm getting a lot of albedo off of those bad boys.
I've got batteries. I've got fresh batteries for my glasses.
Aren't you a lawyer?
Yep.
Times must be tough if you're pumping Rayovacs. Get some Energizer lithiums. What is going on here?
Oh boy, I can tell it's gonna be a long night. Yeah, how have you been, man?
I'm good.
All right. I popped in the stream last night just for a bit. That was I chuckled as I went to sleep.
Well, so. I'm glad that you did, and let it be known to the world that it was fruitful. Because I don't know how much you saw, but there was a moment in which I made a tweet live on the air, which I don't do often.
I saw that, yeah.
And let me just suggest to the chat, because the chat will know what I'm saying, and you obviously will remain blissfully ignorant. To the chat, someone has responded to me all day long with messages. All day long. So
did we strike a nerve?
I don't know. But apparently there will be an episode 10. That's all I can say. That's all I can say to you guys. Episode 10 will occur at some point in the future. I was doubting episode 10 was ever going to come.
Well, you should get a matador cape and just wear it whenever you're just.
I wasn't even wearing red last night.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe he's colorblind. I don't know.
And here he is coming at me as if I did something wrong. All I did was point out the truth. Huh. Really a shame.
Well, yeah. Well, people will forgive you for a lot of things, but not telling the truth.
No, they don't like that. They actually, the audience will see. Very, very mad about me telling the truth. Whoo, boy. Very upset.
Oh, that was about something in the Funimation brief, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they suggested that no one of ordinary intelligence or reasonableness could possibly have interpreted their tweet in a defamatory manner. And I just seem to recall there were several people of maybe less than ordinary intelligence who interpreted the tweet exactly in the way that they said that it couldn't be done, and they happen to be employees of Funimation.
It's an interestingly Baroque argument. We're breaking it down today, and yeah, that was.
They're
never saw that coming.
My hat's off to you guys having to read through. I mean, I'm doing it on stream, but you guys are doing it in an office or whatever. Well, actually, probably at your homes because of my corona.
Yeah,
and,
I like to call it just commie virus, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They should have banned coronavirus in China, like they ban everything else. That would have been
that would have solved the problem. I mean, they should make it illegal. Have you heard though that gun sales are just skyrocketing in blue states?
I imagine they are.
That all these self-righteous lefties who were just so in favor of gun control, when all of a sudden something like this happens, they're out there buying guns left and right. What'll be interesting will be when when this all passes, are they going to be willing at that point to just say, okay, now I'm ready for gun control again?
Well, they better give them up.
Yeah, I'm going to wager that a lot of that I think we're going to see a very a limited amount of enthusiasm for gun control, because one of the things that I remember when I bought my first gun as an adult to have in the house, because we had been the victim of intrusions when I was a kid, and there was a profoundly more peaceful feeling when I went to. I mean, I felt safer. I just did, you know. And it wasn't like I was every night just terrified, but knowing that pistol was in my nightstand was just really, it put my mind at ease. And I predict that a whole lot of lefties have had that experience now. So it's
I
going to be
sleep
very interesting.
with the pistol under my hand, which is under my head. That's
Yeah.
I don't even
I
have a
thought it would.
pillow anymore. I just got a big gun.
I always thought it'd be cool to sleep with a pistol under your pillow, just because, well, that's just cool.
That would that would get shot all night long.
The wife kind of vetoed that. She didn't seem to, Have you ever seen Ice Station Zebra?
No.
Oh, that's right. It happened before 1990, so Anyway,
whoa! Oh my
right,
goodness! Are you sure it was before 1990 and not before like 1971?
It was before 1971. It absolutely was. It is a great movie. It was made after was it Alistair MacLean? It was made after a spy novel, but it's got Rock Hudson as a submarine commander, and a North Pole station has gone silent, and turns out that a Russian satellite re-entered the atmosphere with this film of everybody's missile sites and all this kind of stuff. So you got the submarine heading to try to get to the base, and the Russians are trying to get there. It's one of the best spy movies ever. And Rock Hudson, he really was a very good actor, and he just knocks that role out of the park. Got Jim Brown in it, Ernest Borgnine, but Patrick McGowan, who played the prisoner and other stuff, he plays a Russian agent, and he sleeps with a pistol underneath his bed, and he's sharing a bunk with the executive officer. The first night, the executive officer goes, "Mr. Jones, you're in my bunk," and I mean, he jumps up, grabs him, and then, "Oh, sorry, old man, sorry, so,
Yeah.
1,000 apologies." And Rock Hudson says, "I think I'll take that." And he goes, "Oh no, you won't."
Oh my god.
He plays just a badass spy. But I saw that as a little kid, and I just thought, man, that would be so cool to have a pistol under your pillow. But no, my wife won't let me have that. So
I my hand creeps under my pillow while I sleep. There would be violence going off.
Yeah, you'd probably want to have the safety. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it'd be bad.
We just can't always get what we want.
No, and most of the time I've learned that you can't, because there's a kung flu going around right now, karate chopping lungs left and right, and because of that, I can't do most of the things that I want. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's getting to be annoying as well, I have to say. Look, New York City ought to be locked down. New Orleans ought to,
no, but what about the coronavirus though?
Oh, well, yeah. No,
just in general.
For that reason too, yeah.
Just in general.
Well, anyway, I mean, those places really are, as anybody with a full set of frontal lobes would have predicted. The inner cities, the densely populated cities, are going to get ravaged. I have no problem with that, but I'm sorry, Tyler, Texas. Our county judge locked us down after a 91-year-old man died of coronavirus, and I'm like, he's 91. I don't want to be unkind, but
you sure he didn't die just because it was Monday?
He would have. Yeah, and
if it was actually Wednesday, then he just also had dementia.
Yeah. Now, the good news is, at least in Smith County, Texas, we don't have armed police walking the street and stopping people. Traffic looks about like it normally looks. It's one of those. with a light touch, I've got no problem. But if you start sending police out to break people up and arrest them for being out in public, that's going to spiral out of control really fast and in a very unfortunate way, in Texas at least.
Yeah. I hear in Laredo, someone in the chat just brought up Arctic Pride, which is a weird name for a Texan. Says in Laredo, they're fining people $1,000 for being out in public without a mask on, even essential workers in travel.
Oh, that's bull. That's bull.
Crazy.
Well, I would. Do you want to speculate as to the political identity of the mayor in
Laredo?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I'll tell you what. Have you noticed that the blue cities really do? They just love to go all totalitarian at the first. I mean, they are just little tyrants, aren't they?
There are some people who've been chomping at the bit for this. You can tell, and it's pretty crazy. I think we can spend some time, maybe a little bit later, talking about that. What I want to do is get to the initial chats. There were actually a bunch just waiting, I think.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I think they all want to talk to you. But whatever. And then let's do those, and then let's talk about the stimulus a little bit, and kind of give people some directions on where they can
free government money.
That government cheese.
Yeah,
that's what Q would say before Q stabbed me in the back.
Well, I think probably we had this conversation at some point, but I got some of that government cheese in the 80s, and it was good stuff because it had sat in a silo aging nicely for like 20 years.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And it was my grandmother, they just gave it out to elderly folks. I'd go to her house, she had a big old loaf of that stuff, and it was good.
Oh man, I had to cook with government cheese in my chef training program because that's where the state school got its money or got its materials. Was
that any good? Was it good cheese?
No, it was terrible cheese.
Okay. Yeah, don't quote me on this, but I in the mid 80s. Ronald Reagan, I think, was the one that said, "Hey, wait a minute, we got all this cheese that we're buying. Let's start distributing this to people in need." There's no reason.
I have to address something real quick. I'm completely kidding about Q stabbing me in the back. Complete joke, literally a joke. Q and I are perfectly good. No, I'm just playing up the kayfabe hype on our biblical arguments that are coming up. That's all. No worries, guys.
Oh, now that ought to be interesting. Biblical. By the way, I gotta say, I want the chat to demand that the next time you have the big brains on, I want to be part of that.
Oh, because that's next Friday.
All right, well, chat, back me up on this. Don't let him not invite me because those guys are a riot.
Yeah, you will be invited. It looks like it's going to be next Friday. I will make sure once it's fully confirmed. I will let you know.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir.
So far, keep that open on your calendar. So let me do some of these chats because I know there's questions for us here, and then I want to get into this stimulus, stimulating conversation for the boomer pun. Kiwi Goes Live says, PSA, Girl Scouts website lets you buy cookies online. You can get them shipped to your house, and you can buy a box for first responders and hospital staff. Spread this far and wide. So there you go, guys. Get your Thin Mints online. I actually don't buy Girl Scout cookies anymore because I'll die.
I was going to say they're just so darn delightfully good that I could have gone without that knowledge. Y'all probably took 5 years off my life.
Yeah, well,
because
someone out there will thank us for that.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'd probably make a short list,
Mr. I think I've got a long list for me now. So Mr. Armageddon says, here's a question for Ty Beard. How do I get some of those delicious Trump bucks as only a Canadian citizen living in Canada? You just do what they do on the southern border. You have to steal a social security number. You have to swim across the Great Lakes.
You move down to a real country. No, I'm joking. I have nothing but fondness for Canada. We must always remember, as polite as the Canadians are, they were some of the shock troops of the British Empire. When the British Army and they were half of the troops that stormed ashore at Normandy Beach. So they may walk around very politely and say a boot, but Actually, one of the acquisitions I did recently, the one I was doing kind of simultaneous with the Hormel deal, was with a Canadian company, and they were just painfully polite and nice.
It's gross, man.
They were. I liked them.
I like them too, but I feel bad about liking them.
Yeah,
because I want them to just be
y'all
rude.
Aren't really this nice, are you? I mean, really? I mean, when you have a bad day, don't you just? I mean, yeah.
Well, I was up in Canada, and let me give a shout out to our driver, the guy who picked us up from the airport. He picks us up from the airport. He's in a suit, right? We're going to a convention, and he's in a suit. And we get to his car, and his car is immaculate. It spotlessly clean. It's been
that's grounds to hate him right there.
It's detailed, like you could tell he took it to a detailing place, got it nice and cleaned up to pick us up. And we get in, he immediately apologizes, and he says, "I am so sorry. I just took it into the shop because the check engine light came on yesterday." And they said, there's no problem. It's just a minor thing that needs to be fixed, but they won't have the part until later. And so I couldn't get it fixed right now. I'm so sorry if that's unprofessional. I'm like, I wasn't looking at a check engine light. This is the most polite and professional person I've ever met. He was so cool.
It's like, okay, take it down a notch.
I was like, oh my gosh. He was
unprofessional because there was a check engine light going on. Okay, now, of course, if I ever see a check engine light on, He
was, yeah, exactly. If you're ever in like an Uber, be like, hey, your check engine light's up. I want $10 off this ride.
I'm going to rat you out with,
He was the nicest guy, and he was he was a good guy to talk to and stuff, because we had like an hour drive from the airport to Kitchener. Kitchener's like Tyler to Toronto's Dallas, if that makes sense. It's
no, really not at all. But
Tyler's a little farther than Kitchener. But okay, so you fly into Toronto and then you drive to Kitchener.
Oh, I got you. And it's about 3 hours away from Toronto.
No, Tyler's not that far from Dallas.
Well, okay, 2 hours.
I mean, only if you drive the speed limit. But
True.
Kitchener's about an hour, but they're about the same size, is what I'm saying. It's about,
I got you. Okay.
About 90 to 110,000 people or something in that area, similar to like a Tyler. And it's a nice town. I liked it quite a bit. And everybody was so damn polite all the time, apologizing for everything.
You can't stay in a place like that, Nick. It'll suck the life essence out of you.
Yeah, I need someone to spit on me.
I mean, it's like a vampire, kind of like in the pre-dawn twilight, right? It may not. It's going to start burning if you stay.
Yeah,
you're just that's just too pure of a place.
He says Tyler has Arctic Pride says Tyler has an airport with 3 gates. I've flown it. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Recently. The fun part about Tyler was when I went there and they're like, my family's like, oh no, it's fine. You just show up like 15 minutes before your flight and you're fine.
No, not quite.
Most of the times I've done that, yeah. But that time, because they said it, I got there 15 minutes before the flight, and TSA is taking forever. And they made me take my donuts out of my bag.
Was that when you were down here last time?
No, it was the time before that.
Okay.
That would have been October-ish, I think.
Yeah, I've come to actually like those puddle jumper flights from Tyler to Dallas. They're kind of pricey, but it is nice checking in, and Tyler's got a small airport. Hop on the little plane, 45 minutes you're in Dallas, and
the best part is you
get anywhere in the universe.
The best part is you don't have to drive 2 hours to Dallas and get there 2 hours early for your flight.
Well, and park your, if you're going to be gone for a while, park your car and exorbitantly extortionating, anyway, and expensive,
you just lawyerized that word. It was
that's pretty. East Texas legalized that.
It's funny because when you're writing like a brief or whatever in just Microsoft Word, it doesn't know half the words that you use that are terms of art. Like, I'm pretty sure conclusory isn't in Microsoft Word.
Probably not, and prima facie probably isn't.
Yeah, and what a mess. Okay, Lord Weebly says, "Hey Nick, I'm a DLA distribution employee. We supply for the overseas military, and I specialize in medical equipment. Want to guess how effed we are if I get sent home? Hashtag in the paint. We have community spread and lockdown already. FML. Well, good luck, buddy. Don't do it. I wish I could offer you more than just good luck." Super Range 128 says, "I work at a computer job that allows me to work at home, has no layoffs or pay cuts either, and I already filed and got my 2019 tax return. Also, my pay rate is pretty good. Can I even still qualify for this stimulus?" Now,
oh yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, because there's two different stimuli going on. Stimuluses. Right. And one of them is the paycheck, the Yang Gang plan,
protection program.
Yeah,
or as I like to say, the free government money.
there's the Yang $1,200 a person thing, and then there's a separate one. And if you don't qualify for one because of your work, because of your employment status and your income, you may still qualify for the other. So we'll get there in just a minute. Craig Litton says, "A fistful of boomers. This is for Ty. Tabletop simulator on Steam is how you can get your tabletop wargaming fix during this apocalypse." I think he means apocalypse. Check it out. Yeah, Tabletop Simulator is actually pretty cool.
I don't want to I just want to say there's going to be some interesting news maybe in a month or so about that.
About Tabletop Simulator.
Well, I'm going to be involved in a venture, and I'll leave it at that. I actually, well, I'm the chairman of board of a software company, and I also have a pretty overqualified IT thing, and so we're gonna maybe get off into doing some utilities or something for role-playing games and all that. This is highly preliminary, but anyway,
Well, I'm telling you about a game called Tabletop Simulator, and it literally creates a tabletop on and you can import rule sets and model sets from like all over. So you can actually import Warhammer model sets and then the rule books and the codexes and everything, and flip through the pages on your screen.
Oh, so we could, if we could find the 3D assets, we could like have armies and put Fistful of Toes on there, and you could play. I guess a miniature
Someone may have already done this.
Interesting.
That's how.
What's it called again? Tabletop?
It's called Tabletop Simulator.
Excuse me while I break out my.
You want me to just send it to you?
Well, yeah, you could do that too.
I'll just send you a message.
I'll put the stylus and the clay tablet down.
Yeah, please. I don't want to hear the chisel scraping across the stone. Lord. The Dragon's Treasure says, "Your shout out last night helped me out a ton." Oh, awesome. I'm so grateful and wanted to show it with more than words. Hope my own YouTube channel can get big enough so I can join a future panel. P.S. Does Ty drink tea? I can hook him up too. Do you drink loose leaf tea?
Not much of a tea guy. I drank Snapple for a long time ago, but but I mean, I don't dislike. I mean, I'm in the South, so of course I drink iced tea. I mean,
well, but look, this guy sent me this. I'll show him on your camera here. Like,
oh, okay, that's like his particular type of. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
It's anime and tea. Like the names are anime and the.
Oh, sure, send it on. I mean, I
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean. I'm sure the girls probably drink tea, right?
They do, and no, I'll drink it. I mean,
you can be sophisticated for once in your life, Mr. Gamer Chair.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, one of these big bad boys is coming to my office. The big leather chair, it's out of there. Because I'm telling you, man, these things are like a royal bitch to put together.
Yeah.
There's only one assembly step that literally almost caused this thing to be thrown through the window of my house twice. And my living room's got windows all across the thing, and I grabbed the thing, and Tori goes, "No." does the James Earl Jones in Best of the Best? No,
Tommy, no.
So I got on YouTube and some
you bring up Best of the Best.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Best of the Best 2?
Oh my God, no! Is there a sequel?
Oh, 2 is great. 4 is where it starts to get really bad.
Oh no, you're kidding me.
Oh,
There's
no, no,
not.
no.
Is Eric Roberts in all of them? I mean, is he?
Eric Roberts is in 1 and 2 for sure. I feel like he was in 3. I don't remember who's in 4.
You know, the thing is, and I know this movie was made like in the early '90s or late '80s, whenever the heck it was made, and so Maury's a little different. It's downright creepy watching his scenes with his son, his child. You know, I mean, I know he's trying to be the loving father, but it's just I'm kind of watching that going, oh, that's awkward. Let's fast forward to that. But yeah, I had no idea. Seems like maybe one night you told me this, but I was probably really
You've got to
drunk.
watch Best of the Best too.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions.
Well, don't
Best of the
worry.
Best.
Rest assured, they remain that way. No, there's a scene though where a guy gets kicked in the face, and it goes to the funniest looking close up of that impact that I can. I used to sit there as a kid and rewind that kick to Baracus's face
I'll tell you what,
100
I might,
times.
I
Oh,
might have PTSD. I got laid out one time in Taekwondo. I mean, I got,
Yeah.
I mean, just boom. I caught a kick somewhere about here, and we're sparring, and guy kicks. It was a fluke thing, and my perception was the floor just goes wham like this, and the next thing I know, my Master Kim is throwing water on me, going, "You okay? Wake up, boy! Wake up! Wake up!" I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, "How many fingers I hold up?" And I go, 3, 2, 3. He goes, good enough. Get up. Everyone should have had a Korean martial arts instructor in the late 70s and early 80s, because I mean, we didn't even wear pads back then.
No, of course not.
And they were, I mean, they were not, they just weren't into, positive reinforcement. You'd walk over and look at it. At times, it felt almost like in the Conan movie, where he's got the sword, and the instructor's walking over and looking at him, and then somebody else smirks, and the guy does a spinning back kick and nails him.
Yeah.
But you get how many fingers I hold? Good enough.
RZEQDW says, it's been 25 days since I last interacted with another human being in person. Please help. Oh, man. Call me, buddy. Call me. I'll chat with you for a while.
It's
not the same.
Look,
it's similar.
like I said last time, I've been self-quarantining for, about 30 years. But but yeah, I do think this kind of stuff is probably getting to a lot of people. There are people like you and me who will sit in a dungeon or a bunker and be quite happy, but there are also the sunshine people.
Yeah.
And I think they're suffering.
I'm going to go out for a run, I think. I was going to today, but then it started raining. So I'm just waiting for the next day that isn't cold. Because it was 60 the other day, and it was beautiful.
It was 48 degrees yesterday now, of course, in Texas, we'll get the occasional, call them blue northers that'll blow, because we're virtually into springtime in Texas, which is really what the middle of summer is for the rest of the civilized world, and but the Battle of the Alamo occurred in March, and the temperatures were below freezing. It was blue norther blew in, but we had it was like 48 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, it got cold today and tomorrow. Hold on. Saying hi to someone in chat. If that's Tennessee Marine, hey, what's up, buddy? I got your email the other day. I'll respond to you. Thanks for reaching out. I appreciate it. Or your DM or whatever it was. Anyway, Josh Mo says, Nick, could you possibly cover Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Ravens, lawsuit against Amazon? I believe it's likeness rights for the t-shirts they're selling. Well, I could try. I gotta look it up. Weirdo with a cello says, Tardy with a rainbow flag. Did you see Astartes Part 5? No, not yet. If not, get on it. I will. I just, I heard about it today. If you haven't seen
I do have to applaud the skill of that. The wheel. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. It's if you haven't seen the Astartes series, stop the stream this instant. That's not true. I'm not going to do that. Go watch and subscribe. It's about 15 minutes total and more than worth it. Or are you telling the chat to stop watching? Well, that was rude. No, just watch it and subscribe to it after. That'd be great. Legendary Devil Hunter Dante says, I hope both of you are staying healthy and hetero. Been a bit since I've been in a stream.
Yeah.
Also, episode 10 for the win. Anyways, good to be able to catch a stream live again. Good to see Ty again, too.
Oh,
I guess. DOG Beer says, Nick, have you played Red Dead Redemption 2? No.
Man, I'll cut your trust off if you keep popping off like that.
Hey. Shh.
Oh, sorry. I said that out loud. Crap.
Watch out. People are listening. There's a rival gang.
People only in the most technical sense of the word, I'm afraid.
There's a rival gang called the Lemoyne Raiders. Yes, I'm serious. Ty, do you prefer dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Well, you can't eat either of them in Shenzhen anymore. The first city in China
dark,
to ban dogs and cats.
Yeah, there's more dark meat on a dog, I think, is the... Yeah.
No, the first city in China to ban eating dogs and cats is Shenzhen. It just did it, like, yesterday.
Well, I'm supportive of that.
Should have banned eating bats.
Yeah, Brianna, when she was little, she came to me and said, Daddy, what's the difference between a hamster and a gerbil? I said, more dark meat on a hamster. Honey, don't. You're gonna. And of course, Brianna, she's like, okay. And she so, you know. So.
Yeah. Eric Stein says,
now my wife can't understand why my daughters have a wickedly sharpened sense of humor when they wish to deploy it. It's I don't know where they got that. I said, I do.
Yeah, sorry. Eric Stein says, read me, hey. Nick and Beard can't stay up late, back at work after 12 days off to do taxes. $2,000 out of my pocket. Well, you don't have to do it till July now. Guess I make too much for daddy government. Guess I should count myself lucky to be a truck driver that delivers food. Have a good stream. Good night. Hey, good night, buddy. And you are doing the real work out there, bringing food to stores while people are panicking.
I have thoroughly enjoyed these tech sultans like Gates and the rest of them. It's just eating them alive that nobody gives a crap what they say. You know, Gates like, these are the three things that shut up, Bill. I'm sorry. A bloated operating system just doesn't really help us in a pandemic. We need people that actually make things, you know, and you know, I mean, it's just killing them. They're almost now like Hollywood celebrities, right? They're utterly narcissistic and they have attention deficit disorder. When there's a deficit of attention on them, they have a disorder, you know. But kudos to the truck drivers. You guys, truckers have always kept our economy alive. We have no idea how much stuff gets delivered on trucks. I have a cousin who's a trucker, and you know,
it's only because they put price floors on rail.
Yeah,
I'm just stirring up a mess. Up a mess.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole interstate commerce thing about that. But,
Stacey Thielman says, "Hey Ty and Nick, how have you guys been since the quarantine started? Good. I've been good. You?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I can't complain. We stockpiled up, and we just really had. I mean, shortages have been kind of I did on a lark. I did get a 60-roll pack of toilet paper as trade goods. You know, just in case.
I just raided Kentucky Fried Chicken's wet wipes.
Well, I found a hotel supply source, and they had a case of their. It isn't good stuff. It isn't 2-ply. You know.
You must have been talking to the Hilton supplier or something.
It was the West. You know, those guys. It wasn't
Weston. Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't that single-ply sandpaper stuff. You know.
Yeah, that wasn't Econo Lodge toilet paper.
No, it wasn't Econo or Motel 6. But my wife is such a patient lady. She really is. She puts up with just she's like, honey, we have enough toilet paper, I don't know, to last a year. I said, yeah, but might need more.
Oh my goodness. It's Kaki Onsai says, hey there, Nick and Ty. Glad Ty's alive. Hey. Hopefully he's not being driven insane by dirty briefs. So Trump Bucks question. Housemate runs an LLC, photos and headshots, so no work possible due to Oregon stay at home. What's available? #BBQ.
All right, you just hang on, and when we get into kind of the overview of that plan, we'll address that. Wouldn't that be a good thing, Nick? Yeah,
we've got 8 quick chats to get through, and
we'll answer your question. Absolutely. Yep.
Phoenix Lord Asserman says 20 for Ty on Friday's big brain panel, 20 more when he gets on stream. That should cover the grifting charge for an invite. You have no idea that grifting charge. Moist John says Canadians at peace.
Grifting charge is such an ugly word. I prefer access fee.
Moist John says, Canadians at peace, sorry. Canadians at war, sorry this. So there you go. Lost Bullets says, when we are not nice, we burn down your White House. Oh my goodness.
That's a little intense.
I need a trucker to deliver a blanket to Lost Bullets. Ninja Bread Man says, gosh, I want to talk more about Corona in a minute. Ninja Bread Man says,
I know you can't stop, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about something else. How about that virus? Oh, God, there.
Yeah. Ninja Bread Man says, good evening. Happy to catch tonight's stream live. Gentlemen, chat. What is everyone drinking? I got Milo's and the sparkling ice, and then I'll move into this barefaced Canadian whiskey in just a minute. Oh, no, wait. Ty's here. I'm going to drink actual bourbon instead of pretend bourbon like Jack Daniels.
I release you. I release you from that because I don't actually have any whiskey. I actually been working.
Wow. Well,
listen, I wear a tie for you on your show.
You do. I wear a Rekieta Law whiskey shirt.
Oh, that is pretty cool. I'm going to need me one of those, Nick.
I don't know who made it. Someone just sent it to me a long time ago. I want it in like all sorts of colors and sizes. Next, Ty, who's a better character? Kosh, Garibaldi, or Londo?
Oh, now that's a tough one. It's going to be between Garibaldi or Londo. I think it probably depends on which season, but Garibaldi has always been kind of my favorite, because he's the episode where he has to fight with the post office on Babylon 5 is exquisite because, they're like, we're the post office. We're, it's, to all you children who don't look at anything before 1996 or something, Babylon 5 is still just one of the greatest science fiction series ever. You got to get past the cheesy CGI special effects. I really wish they would go back and redo the special effects with modern stuff, but it's a great show. But I'm a Garibaldi.
Okay. And also, Nick, religious provocateur. Oh, my goodness. Can you wrench me just for tonight? Done, buddy. Billy the Kid Lawrence says, I pulled the DM got away on some friends. Thanks for that one, Mr. Beard. Hope all is well with the Rekieta Beard fans. Or fams.
Somewhere my friend Dave is smiling about that.
By the way, everyone buy Brianna's book, Radio Nowhere. Much love to you all. You make nights
She's
better.
also posted the first 3 chapters of the sequel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that Radio Somewhere? I'm joking.
Actually, I think it's Radio Static, I think is the name of it.
Okay.
It's got a nice cover. We had the cover done,
I was going to say Radio Static, but I guess my ideas aren't good. Bad Vibe says Trump tries saving U.S. oil worker jobs by asking foreign oil producers to slow down equals bad, causing gas prices to go up. FBI raid a medical PPE profiteer equals good. Thousands unemployed, good, and individual profiteering bad. WTF. Look, we don't ever ask for consistency from government, even if you like the government, even if you like some of the decisions.
No, I agree. And look, I'm a big fan of the president. He's very intuitive, which means he does what he thinks right rather than what is necessarily intellectually consistent. I tell you what, in these kind of situations, I think I'm okay with that. I'd rather somebody legitimately trying to be thoughtfully right than, oh no, I'm intellect. There was some D-bag on Fox. I don't know, been about a month ago now. Boy, I'd like to see him now. And he's actually sitting there going, well, no, we shouldn't replace drug supplies from China because it's cheaper. And I'm going, okay, I like free trade as well as the next guy, but you've got to bleeping be kidding me.
I'm going to say this about Trump. I love that Trump is not going as authoritarian as I expected him to go. I love it.
I'm not surprised at all. Remember Trump's a businessman.
Yeah. But he's just letting the states handle it the way the 10th Amendment is meant to operate. The states get to make these decisions.
Squealing so loud because he's also making those idiot governors take responsibility. Yep. Governor Abbott in Texas has done I think a very Governor Abbott he's a good politician. He's going to run for president, and I think he'll probably get it one of these days. But what he's done is he said, "All right, we've got to close the bars and the restaurants and the gyms down." And those, I'm okay with that. I'm sure we'll get into that. Those are uniquely bad places just because of it. But the press and everybody have been having him shut the whole state down. And he's like, hey, local people can decide. Yes, they can, and they can then be accountable.
Out of respect for you, I'm not going to make the joke I was going to make about Governor Abbott.
Nah, don't do that. Come on.
I like him. I know. It would be all in good fun, but I don't want anything. I don't want any misinterpretations.
Right. Yeah.
The Big Red Bear says,
leave Gov alone.
Big Red Bear says, hey, Nick, I too would like to thank you for your very kind words yesterday. Oh, it just says kind words, not very kind. As a Canadian, I can tell you the politeness is just a shroud, concealing a deeply sarcastic and snide culture, but we're still nicer than Americans. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. Are you?
Bob the Troll King says, good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, Sir Beardius Maximus. By the way, Nick, if you get a request to take a shot, I'm already sloshed. I'll take the duty if you need a recovery from last night. I probably will not be doing full shots of anything. Just casual sipping. Pajori says, Ty, did you get to the first cruise ship clearing in Black Tide Rising?
I have not actually gotten to look at Black Tide Rising because, contrary to the experience that so many people are doing, my personal law practice is wearing me out. It's still a lot going on.
Worse Than You says, hello, Nick and Ty. I just had my 20th birthday last Friday, and I've bought 4 40K books, Servants of the Imperium, Requiem Infernal, and the first 2 Horus Heresy audiobooks. Oh, have fun with those, buddy. I've actually not read Servants of the Imperium or Requiem Infernal. Let me know how they are. The Heresy books I have. Bald Eagle 1787 says, Ty, have you seen a YouTube series, in brackets, called If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device?
No, I have not.
If not, you should. And the going gag with the Ultramarines is hilarious. Yes.
Okay.
Actually, Marneas Calgar hates Cato Sicarius.
What was that really funny comic series? There were the Space Marine chapter was the Emperor's Pointed Sticks. Oh. And it was turn signals on a Land Raider, I think is what it was called. And okay. it was hilarious. I think I told you this once before. When Brianna was young, I did her a little Space Marines chapter. It was the Emperor's Fluffy Bunnies.
Yeah.
And I got a Playboy bunny, silhouette and put like long, sharp, jagged teeth.
Yeah.
this little bunny thing.
It says also Astral Knights for the win, and everything is Horus's fault. Babylon 5 is a classic. Ivanova equals heart. No, so Marneas Calgar is chapter master of the Ultramarines.
It's Ivanova.
Whatever. I'm calling it Ivanova.
Blasphemous.
Since you're not up on your 40K lore, Marneas Calgar is chapter master of the Ultramarines, and Cato Sicarius is the second captain. And he's like Cato Sicarius is superhero. Like his whole company will die and he'll live and win. And he always comes through everything. So in the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, Marneas Calgar is super annoyed with him all the time. He just keeps sending him on death missions and he keeps coming back. He's like, it is I, Cato Sicarius. Oh God, it's funny.
Okay.
Calgar is a cuck. That's true.
All right. So tell me what the name of that thing is.
It's called If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device. I'll send it to you.
So I don't have to break the clay tablet out.
Yeah. Basically, the premise is, the Emperor is on his golden throne, and the Mechanicus just attaches a text-to-speech device, and now the Emperor can talk, and he is just marveled and pissed at everything that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, well, because he's a burned out husk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought we probably have already talked about this, but I remember when 40K came out. I mean, Rogue Trader, the very first book, and I get this thing, and it's somewhat bigger than this book. And I start, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's like, oh. it's like H.R. Geiger just made a science fiction war game. What in the world? I mean, it. We just had never seen anything quite like it, and it was,
Yeah.
and the mythology has changed somewhat, but the emperor was always the center of that mythos, and that first, you know, painting of the emperor, and you've got this zombie-fied husk with all these tubes and crap coming out
Yeah,
of
it's
him.
beautiful.
So my theory on that is, it's British, obviously, and the British Empire was once this great epic thing, and now they're just kind of a decayed remnant, right?
Yeah.
And I really think there's something in their cultural psyche that they tapped into when they did 40K.
Well, they also have a zombie on the throne.
Come on.
The queen.
No, listen, she's trying to do the country a favor. She didn't want her idiot son Charles to,
Yeah.
She's taking one for the team on that. It's like, I will, if I can just outlive him.
Okay.
Hey, Charles.
Ethris Fox, the CEO of a game studio here, left my day job in January to work on my company full time. Furloughed art contractors back in September till code was done. I'd really love to bring them back. Some have been laid off. Can I get Trump bucks?
Yep, you can.
2 more, and then we're getting there. Morty J says, I swear by the end of the year, Trump derangement syndrome is going to be a clinical definition. He could literally walk up on the podium with a new puppy, and suddenly everyone hates puppies. And gay and still at large.
No question.
K-Ty, chat, hear me out. We call Chair Coon she. Coon is usually male. Look, don't you pick a gender. An argument exists that Chair Coon is a feminine man. Can we then conclude that Nick spends all night sitting in the lap of a trap? Thank you for that.
I just don't really know how to answer that.
Sloth of Speed says, Nick, can you invite Ty to the next Big Brain panel? Yes. Yep. He's invited.
Hound him into the ground, my friends.
Hopefully a week from Friday. Okay, let's talk Trump bucks. So there are 2 stimulus packages, as mentioned. It's all in the same bill. But the one that's getting the media attention for most people is this. You get $1,200 per adult and then $500 per kid. That one is the one most people know about.
Well, that's not really the one that I know about, but remember, I work for businesses, so I'm the one that I've been focused on all week for clients has been what we're calling the payroll protection program. So,
do you not have the news?
I have it. I just don't have a chance to look at it very much.
I'm just giving you hell. So the payroll protection
program. And I have the worst mental block, and I go paycheck protection
program. So it's a triple P.
It's triple. Yeah, exactly. PPP. I got a text from a client last night, and I'm working on the PPP. And I went, what's the PPP? Well, of course it's me, so I'm going, what is the PPP? He goes, that payroll thing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Isn't that an internet acronym? PPP from like years ago, but I feel like I had to know that back when I was using Telnet.
It sounded weirdly familiar, but anyway, so that program, so basically the idea of that program is the government is these are mostly speculations on my part, but they're reasonable inferences.
Let me suggest we're not giving you legal advice, and you will want
Right.
You will want to. What we're doing is giving you an idea of if you need to further talk to a local attorney in your jurisdiction, or if you need to talk to an accountant or financial planner to get some clarity on this stuff. So
I'll at least talk about how I've been sending people and helping clients. You don't need to go to a lawyer. It appears that the government that Trump especially is trying to get liquidity back into the economy, and I can tell you that outside of certain industries, and food, for example, there is no economic activity going on.
Right.
And the legal profession in particular, this is a holocaust for lawyers, which I know it breaks everybody else's heart. But
well, like a hair salon, right? Like a tattoo parlor, like these places, these types of services, massage therapists. They've all largely, if they haven't voluntarily been shut down, have been shut down by their states. And so
Yeah.
there's just no services going on. And then you've got like the comic book industry. Diamond Distribution had a monopoly on distributing comics to comic book shops. And Diamond said to Marvel and DC, we're not taking new comics right now. So Marvel and DC are shut down.
But don't you wonder that this might have been just an excuse because they're getting tired of,
Oh, I can't stop laughing about it. But I'm just saying there's, as we've known for a while, there's no economic activity in comics right now either.
No, and kind of to make a hypothetical example. So, the raw material supplier doesn't get paid for his raw materials. The factory doesn't get raw materials to make the stuff, so they don't sell anything. The distributor doesn't buy anything, and then the retailer doesn't buy anything from the distributor, and the customer doesn't buy anything. And I've always, my opinion, I'm not an economist, but my thing about money is, broadly, money is like oil in your engine. It doesn't create energy. It doesn't actually drive the engine, but without it, the engine seizes up. And money, to a point, is the same way. So what they're trying to do is introduce liquidity into the system. If they pull this off, this will be an amazing accomplishment, because you're literally talking about 28 million loan applications that supposedly are going to get processed over the next few weeks. And that would be unprecedented. The thing is, I kind of halfway think he's going to pull it off. Because here's the program. Basically, they are going to give you a loan. Now, some of the information is contradictory because the statute says, this is what it is, but there's a whole lot of as the SBA shall determine, or the secretary shall determine, all that. So, I'm reading in some places 0.5% interest, other places 1%. The statute limits the maximum to 4%.
So basically, whatever the percentage ends up being, it's a low percentage interest loan.
Low percentage, yeah. And it's a 10-year payback period with 6 months loan deferral. I mean,
so you get money now, and the payment on it is deferred 6 months.
Yeah. It's
and it's low. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking here. I popped over a spreadsheet just right before the show. At 1% interest, a $100,000 loan, you'll be paying about $880 a month once your payments start for 10 years. That's a very, very lucrative loan. So anyway, the loan amount is going to be determined by, it's going to be the lesser of your average monthly payroll over the previous year. And I think the loan period cuts off, I believe, at the end of January, but so your average monthly payroll times 2.5. That'll be, for most people, most businesses and people, that'll be the loan amount. The maximum is $10 million. So let's say I have a $10,000 payroll each month on average over the last year. Oh, and you only get to count people who made, to the extent you don't get to count any payroll for anybody if it exceeds 100,000. You get up to the 100,000, but you don't get any more of that. So there's some tweaks and stuff. Okay. So let's say that my payroll is $10,000 a month. I get $25,000. Now theoretically, there is a short loan. The SBA has a sample application, and I mean you can tell. I mean you can theoretically get up to a $10 million loan with a single page application. Is
it a front and back page?
Front and back page, but it's only 2 pages.
Yeah,
and it's a very, very sparse type thing.
Are they even pulling credit on these?
No,
because SBA tends to not go off credit anyway.
No. They're explicitly. This is to me is going to be the interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen a bank move fast in my life.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I feel like sometimes banks are in the business of not loaning money. That's a joke to some degree. They're terrified of losing money. If my understanding is, and this is kind of, this is under the table talk with bankers, my understanding is that they're basically in a verification mode. They're verifying that you've been in business, that you've produced reasonable proof of what your payroll is, and so forth.
Sure.
So, but they're talking about applications being taken on the 3rd, which in my central time is 1 minute from now. My bank, Chase, is not ready to deploy yet. They sent an email to everybody and said, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. Many of the banks are limiting this to just their customers,
Sure.
which is actually very logical.
Yeah.
Those banks already have that data, so they can quickly compare your application that it's going to be done online. These paper applications that I download, they're just samples. So I'll go to I get online to the Chase site once it comes up, and I type in the name of my company, the tax ID number, how much what that average payroll was. I may be required to attach a schedule showing the payroll payments, or some, they'll have some. You got to look at this stuff. But the bottom line is they're supposed to process that thing like in a week or something.
Wow.
And the money is, so the deal is you're supposed to use the money for payroll and rent and a few other purposes. There doesn't seem to be any actual penalty if you don't, but do not take my word for that.
But the interesting part about this is, of course, there's a forgiveness program.
Right. That's the free government money part of this. And I got to tell you, Nick, I have said this probably 30 times, and I never in a million years would have thought I'd heard myself say this, but I have said over and over, get to your banker and get some of that free government money.
Now, how does this work with, you mentioned that nothing, you don't get to include payroll over $100,000 per employee.
Right.
So let's say you've got a sole proprietor who makes 150 grand.
His payroll, just says his payroll is $100,000 divided by 12, more or less. And part of this is the sole proprietors are starting this week, and then this is a sole proprietors start this week, but self-employed start next week. And I'm going, I don't know what the difference between those two categories is.
Yeah, that's weird.
And unfortunately, I've been reading the statute because we're lawyers, and the statute leaves a lot of the underwriting criteria, or whatever you want to call it, to the banks. And what's happening behind the scenes is the SBA is talking to the banks, the Treasury's talking to the banks. Chase has said basically we got to get some more clarifications before we're ready to launch this. My guess is Chase is probably, Chase is a very deliberate company. They take their time, but they're good. I mean, I've been satisfied banking with them for a long time. But a lot of this, this is a fast-moving program. There's some ambiguity in the statute. There's some words that I've read where I've gone, I don't know what the hell that means. There's some weird little quirks, but to throw this thing together like they have so far is quite an impressive achievement. If they actually pull this off, this will be the model for stimulus packages forever. And and people have, what do you think about this program, Ty? Okay, I go back and forth. I think we do need some liquidity in the economy. I think is 380 billion the number, but which, by the way, I think is what the program is funded up to. I don't know, but if you're going to pump liquidity into the economy, I'd rather you do it through the employer than some federal agency that's going to sit there and pick winners and losers. And using the banks to deliver this product is really sort of the 21st century version of having Ford and GM make fighter planes in World War II.
Sure.
The banks are already set up to analyze and distribute loans. So the government's saying we're going to piggyback onto your capability. The banks are getting paid for it. So it is kind of a cool thing when you look at it from that perspective. But anyway, so first, so obviously the first thing you do, if you have any relationship with a lender, with a banker at all, okay, go talk to them and just say, what do I do? And they'll quickly get you to the website or to the this or that or the other thing. I don't want to alarm anyone, but I'm afraid that the program may be underfunded. The amount that they've funded is simply not enough to cover 28 million loans. The amount funded is roughly 6 weeks payroll for the nation, for the entire small business, for the payroll of all small businesses in the United States. Well, the thing is, they're really trying to cover the payroll for 2.5 months. So
Yeah.
it's arguably 60% funded. Just my guess. I don't. If the program starts to run out of money, I don't think they politically can possibly not juice it up. But so I'm telling everyone, let's get over there and get your free government money fast. So the loan forgiveness really is the coolest thing. So, all right, let's say you get your loan, you get, the hypothetical I did earlier, get my $25,000. Okay,
Right.
after the loan funds, over the next 8 weeks, every dollar that I spend on payroll, with some adjustments and some, there's some details, but more or less every dollar for dollar, whatever I spend on payroll, whatever I spend on rent, utilities, and a few other categories, the loan will be forgiven. And
so
and I
that's
mean,
for a sole proprietor. That's really interesting because the payroll. Now, you were talking to me earlier when we were talking about setting up the show. The definition of payroll seems to include basically income made by a sole proprietor.
Yeah, I've been trying to pin that down because of that talk, and I'm not having much success. They're just kind of leaving. It's frustrating when you're reading the statute because there's just, they'll have to produce whatever the banks decide they need to produce. And it's like, okay,
Sure.
so. But the other thing is the president made it very clear that he wants this program going through. And I suspect that if the banks start doing what banks often do and start dragging their feet and jacking around, Trump's foot is going to go upside the head of some banks. In fact, personally, I think that's already happened. Because when I talked to lenders on Monday, it was like, well, we'll have these websites rolled out in a couple weeks, maybe longer. And now some banks are rolling them out tomorrow. So somebody somewhere got their arm twisted off, in my opinion.
Right.
So the bottom line, guys, is this: go to your bank, whoever you bank with, and get some guidance. Say, where do I go? Search your bank on the internet and just type in, paycheck.
Paycheck protection
Yes,
plan.
God, I have the worst mental block on this of anybody. But you just Google that, and it'll get you to something. If you did, like for Chase Bank, it'll send you the Chase website and say, we're not going to be able to deploy it on the 3rd, but rest assured, we will have this. It's not required that banks only do it with their customers, but the banks are initially doing that. They've got to. It's going to be very interesting to see the banks of America absorb 28 million loan applications over the next week. That's going to be, but at your worst case, excuse me, your worst case scenario is you're going to wind up with a relatively easy to get, unsecured, which means you don't personally guarantee it, loan that you can use for business purposes. You're gonna, you sign an affidavit where you're saying in good faith, this money is necessary to operate my business. And you'll get all the stuff in the application. They'll tell you this, that, and the other thing. So go out there and do it, guys. I mean, the purpose of the plan is obvious. They're trying to get money in the hands of employees. And again, I would much rather have somebody working and getting that money than just sitting at home on welfare, because it really is a pretty well designed program, and the proprietors, like I said, the lenders will tell you what the criteria is, but the criteria is not supposed to be onerous and difficult. My guess is it's probably going to be, give us some idea of the money you actually make. Give us your 1099s. Give your, something. I think they're going to be more than just tell us what you made, but not much more. Not much more. So this is, somebody's going to get this money. And, if you think about it, the way I have rationalized this and reconciled this with my far right wing beliefs is, well, the government's not giving me a dime. I'm just getting back about, 3% of what I sent them,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's I mean, it's an interesting program, and it's the people who really need to look into this are people who traditionally probably don't do a lot of high level banking with your banker. You've got hairstylists and literally hairstylists, massage therapists, chiropractors, stuff like that, who might actually have a pretty sizable monthly income from the work that they do, but they may be just renting a chair or something and may not have had to deal with like a small business lender before or anything like that. But if you bank with a big bank like Wells Fargo or Chase or Bank of America, any of those things, they have an entire small business department and they're going to have this thing hammered out and how they deal with it. So you'll want to talk to them.
This isn't exactly limited to SBA banks that participate in the SBA Small Business Administration loan system. Other banks are allowed to participate, but I gather, just by inference, I gather that those banks are under more stringent loan criteria. In other words, they're on the hook for some of that money. The amount of stuff you got to give them, again, like on these applications, doesn't seem to be completely consistent from bank to bank. So you don't, if you don't talk to a banker on a regular basis, just Google the bank that you use, and you'll find the website and all this. There's also, the SBA, explore the SBA site, see what's out there. I mean, like I said, the money's going to get pumped into the economy, whether it's a good idea or not. And like I said, I personally think we need some liquidity. I don't know if my biggest concern on this is this: simply putting money into the economy by itself isn't actually going to do anything except loosen everything up. In a very simplistic example, let's say I have an economy with $1,000 of goods and services in it. If I pump $2,000 of money into the economy, but I don't create any more goods and services, well, prices are going to double, and we call that inflation. So my big concern is that dumping all this money is fine, but we're going to have to get the economy back moving, and that's what worries me. This money will not, this money is insufficient. This solution is insufficient to do anything but kind of light things up for a month or so. But one of the things about Trump is he understands PR. He understands the importance of public confidence. He's getting better in every press conference he gives. I mean, again, he's an amateur at all this stuff. His first press conferences, he kind of start free associating and all this kind of stuff. Now he's on target. He's got very, very people with lots of gravitas talking, and
I know what gravitas is. It's a wonderful thing. We have the best gravitas. It keeps our feet on the ground when we're walking so we don't fly off the earth. The flat earth, which is always going up. That's why we stay there. That's gravitas.
Have you ever actually gone to some of those flat earth YouTube videos?
What you need to do, Ty, there's a YouTube channel you need to watch. It's this kid. I call him a kid. It's this guy named All Gas, No Brakes. And he goes to various funny conventions and does interviews, and they are marvelously funny.
Oh, so he does what you would do, basically.
Oh, right? Yeah. Except if I were funnier, and that guy, I would do. Like, he went to the Adult Video Network Awards, the AVNs in Vegas. He went to a flat Earth convention. He went to a hyper spiritual convention. God, he went to a Border Patrol convention the other day. Also very funny. Oh, it's great.
Oh, I probably said this on your show a while back though. I playing on YouTube and I come up with a flat earther thing and I'm like, oh, okay, I got it quick. And I'm just watching this it was strangely and weirdly compelling. I was like, I'm watching this going, these people just sound so calm and reasonable, but they're saying absolute gibberish. And I'm going,
wait till you see the people at the convention.
Wow,
it's awesome. I love it.
I think what bothered me was the bizarrely normal look of some of these people.
Yeah,
and I think I spent about 4 hours jacking around looking at flat earther videos. I'm just going, this is beyond insane. Anyway.
Dave Marks has it right. It's not flat Earth or globe Earth. We live on a turtle's back, you morons.
It's turtles all the way down.
Yeah. Well, what's that turtle standing on? Probably another turtle. God, leave us alone.
It's turtles all the way down.
The long and short on this program, guys, is if you are one of those businesses, you're put out of work right now, and the real scary thing is there are people who out earned the other stimulus. Because if you make more than I don't remember what the cutoff is, but it's not a ton as a couple. If you out earn that, you don't get any stimulus money. But if you're self-employed and you out earn that, depending on where your money goes, typically back into your business, you may not actually be able to afford it. Like, just because you have a high income doesn't mean that you don't have legitimate expenses or that you haven't made significant investments to that would prevent you from weathering this stuff. So
agree. Yeah, look, guys, just go find the application and go do it, because it take you 5-10 minutes, and the payroll protection program. There's no paycheck. There's no phase out or anything, right? Other than just the fact the $100,000 limit, but you get the 100,000. 10 million, of course, is the cap. But if you are self-employed in any way, if you own a business in any way, go do it. Go do it. And you don't need you can use professional advisors if you want to, but you don't need to. Most of my stuff was just clients saying, okay, help me understand what does payroll costs mean? And I'm like, well, because again, I have existing relationships with the business clients, and but none of them really had to call me.
I have a deep hypothetical for you.
Okay.
Sole proprietor. Okay. Definitely a sole proprietor, not an LLC. Okay. Very clear. Has a business, earns gross revenue of $8,000 to $10,000 a month.
Okay.
Has business expenses totaling $5,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay. And is filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy right now.
Right.
Does this guy qualify for stimulus?
I don't recall there being an wait a second. Let me get over here. Oh, it's actually on this loan application thing. So there are some people who would be look at these batteries. This is, by the way, my daughters. They did this for me tonight. They're
sure, they did. I don't believe that. I think they would have used a classier battery, like maybe a more millennial battery than that one.
Yeah. Well, it's like I actually did say just go over there and look. I've got some batteries over there. So yeah.
The last time I saw a Rayovac in the wild was at my grandparents' house.
Well, yeah. So what happened was I turned the lights down because my office here is very brightly lit, and so now it's too dim for me to read. But there are that certain people can't get, and I'm looking here. Is the business or any owner presently suspended, debarred, proposed for debarment?
Debarment,
declared ineligible, voluntary exclusion, are presently involved in a bankruptcy? That's a yes or no question. So yeah, I think maybe there may be a limit. I can't remember. There's 800 pages of stuff, so I can't remember.
The funniest thing in the world would be if that completely hypothetical and definitely not real person filed for bankruptcy just like 2 months too early.
Well, hang on, let me look over here. I'll see if I can find it in the statute, because I do not want to deprive you of the right to gloat.
That would be the rudest thing anyone could do to me.
Nick, I wouldn't do that to you. Let's see. Let me just see here. Bankruptcy. Yeah. Okay, yeah, there is a bunch of bankruptcy provisions in the thing. I didn't, again, I read this thing, for certain purposes, but
for people who aren't bankrupt, that's what you read it for.
Yes, yeah, it has an amount more than that. Yeah, it looks like there may be an exclusion for bankruptcy stuff.
Oh God, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, because, well, the thing is, if they're asking for it on the application, then the inference is it matters. That's the deal. Look, I cannot emphasize this enough. Okay, don't mess around with the federal government. Okay, don't lie. Don't because here's the thing. I predict there is going to be a ton of fraud in this program
Yeah, you
because,
think?
well, yeah, I mean, well, look, here's
What
the thing.
about a drug dealer? What if they just have pictures of all the singles they took in over the past
Yeah, I mean, no,
year?
I mean,
Here's my proof.
well,
Polaroid.
look, if this thing is wildly successful, the media is going to do their level best to destroy the credibility of it.
Yeah.
Okay, because here's look, the economy is being wrecked right now, not just because of the coronavirus, but because one political party decided, boy, if we really hype this up, we can nail the president. Unfortunately, it appears that not only backfired but just blew up in their face because the president has ratings that are beyond that are better than he's ever had. Now, unfortunately, we'll see what happens when the death rate is 100,000 people. Or when. But the point is, right now, the Democrats hyped the economics of this, and they got the exact opposite result they were hoping for. If this stimulus actually does light the economy off in a noticeable way, this is their worst nightmare. Okay, money was given to business and given to people to work. So
Yeah.
there's going to be a ton of gotchas by the media. Going to be a ton. They're going to try to discredit the program. So just this isn't the place you want to be cute. But answer the questions honestly, and the lender will tell you how much you qualify to borrow. It's it's not rocket science. I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but I've got a pulled hamstring that's giving me some fits.
Oh, looks
And
like your cool gamer chair didn't protect that hamstring.
well, not when you actually throw a spinning back hook kick at my age.
Why are you throwing spinning back hook kicks?
Oh, it's a.
I'm
Okay.
waiting.
Well,
I haven't thrown a spinning back hook kick in like a decade.
well, okay. I was demonstrating what one looks like,
To who?
and we're not getting that. And this has happened to me before.
Oh my gosh.
I did it one time. And I was like, wow, I can still do that. So you know exactly what happened. I did it a second time and something went twang.
Yeah.
Oh,
You heard that. You heard that tendon banjo.
That sound of a rubber band popping, which you never want to hear it at my age anyway. And so now, every time I sit down for any length of time, that hamstring tightens up and it's painful. And of course, my wife's like, honey, appreciate you trying to impress me and all, but please don't do that again.
Let me. Were you wearing a suit when you did it?
No.
Just Ty sitting around casual.
Hey, baby,
Ty who wears a suit and tie, or who wears a button up and tie to a YouTube stream at midnight, is just sitting around in some comfy sweats and a tank top.
Listen,
sure.
Man, dressing. No one has ever suffered for dressing like a man. I'm just saying.
Well, when you're throwing those spinning back hook kicks, your clothes might be suffering for dressing like a man.
I guess I'm gonna get Raz for this one.
Okay, I have a different, completely off-topic question. This is up your alley for sure. Fistful of Toes has naval combat, I assume.
Well, it has amphibious combat. It's a land warfare game. I actually have several naval combat designs.
Okay, well, are you familiar with some naval combat rules that I can ask you a rules question?
Oh, yes. I've written about 17 of them that none of them been published, but we play them all the time, actually. So yes.
Okay, a 260-foot Venezuelan warship.
Yep.
Versus a German cruise liner. Who wins?
Venezuelan?
Wrong! Reality shows your rules to be incorrect.
No. I was asking. No, I didn't say
it! I spoiled it.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it's a question of armament because the cruise ship is incredibly huge by naval standards.
Yeah.
These things displace far more than any warship out there. World War II battleships would displace, 40, 50,000 tons of water. These damn cruise ships are like 100, 150,000 ton displacements. I mean, they're just gigantic. I remember one time I have I do one 2400 scale naval miniatures. And so like an Iowa class battleship, is about that long. So I buy the miniature and I'm got it. And then after the movie Titanic came out, one of the companies that makes these things made a Titanic in that scale. And I put that Titanic down and go, God almighty. The Titanic is longer than the Iowa class battleship, or at least it looked longer, but it was just bigger. Because and these cruise ships now make the Titanic are bigger.
Yeah, they're bigger. They're
so
significantly
the
larger.
Venezuelan ship would need some pretty heavy duty armament to dam it just because it's so big.
Well, long story short is they lost, and the Venezuelan ship sunk.
Oh my God! They got rammed by the cruise ship.
They rammed the cruise ship.
Okay, ramming was discredited for the most part in about 1870, something like that. Actually, if you look at warships into the early 1900s, right? They all have a bow that juts out. Because for whatever reason, everybody decided ramming was going to be this great. There was the Battle of Lisa and all this, where one ship, someone actually got rammed. But since about 1900, no one's really done the ramming thing. And modern warships are made out of aluminum and stuff. They're really not designed to go ram something 78 times better. This happened, huh?
Yeah, apparently. Like just like now, or just recently.
So they were trying to stop the cruise ship from coming in, or what was
I don't know. They're trying to sink it or something.
Yeah, well, that really isn't the way to do it.
What if there were a giant, if there were a group of ships all trying to ram each other? What would the wording for that be? Would it be a ram ranch? Like if they were all in a localized place? If there were 18 ships.
You gotta ask Drexel that question because I'm sure he'll have a term that.
I just need to know if there were 18 ships all trying to ram each other, would it be a ram ranch?
No, it'd be a ram bang. Oh boy. Yeah.
Why would you go there? Why would you take this sexual when I'm making a rancher joke?
There's something vaguely degrading about these conversations.
I don't know why you go there. I just want to know, because you have like a murder of crows. I just want to know what a bunch of ramming warships would be called.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to do some research and get back with you on that.
Well, if you ever write rules for it, I propose the name Ram Ranch.
Ram. Ask Drexel what he'd call it.
That might be more degrading than anything.
Well, yeah, but it's going to be spectacular, whatever it is.
That's true. True. Okay, let me hit a couple more chats here. Big Red Bear says, I'm not a fan of Trump. I don't agree with what he does, but people have got to get a grip. Has he contributed negatively to COVID? Sure. Has he not helped the average person enough? Sure. But tons of the problems are with the healthcare system, not Trump. So there you go.
No, that's not true at all, guys. Look, this is a pandemic, okay? This is a biological issue from another country. It doesn't matter. This is no more Trump's fault than H1N1 was Obama's fault, okay? So that's bullshit. Here's the thing. We didn't know, right? We don't know even now when it actually got into the country, okay? That idiot Jim Acosta yesterday just completely beclowned himself.
Does Jim have the COVID coof yet?
I don't know. Acosta. The main thing about Acosta, the thing that I keep wondering is his resting bitch face worse than Anderson Cooper's? But anyway,
the best one is Tucker Carlson.
Tucker's just got that sort of do what?
That's his listening face.
Really?
It's so great.
He is really good. Now look, we don't know when this came in. The Dr. Bricks and Dr. Fauci, whatever, the two doctors that are advising Trump,
Yeah.
they actually tried to, so Acosta goes, Mr. President, was there, were there things you could have done to, keep people from dying and who are now dead? And Trump's like, I'm gonna let the doctors answer that. And so Briggs get up and she says, no, look, here are the curves. Here's the thing. We don't know where the coronavirus got into the country. So I really can't answer your question. We just don't have the data, basically.
Yeah.
Well, this moron asks the exact same question. I mean, journalists are just imbeciles. But anyway, she tries again. She answers and says, we don't know because, well, I just want to know. And
Well,
so
we do too, you
Fauci gets
weirdo.
in. Yeah, Fauci. And so he gets in there and says, basically, I sort of interpreted him as saying, what part of we don't know do you not understand, dumbass? I mean, but that's the thing, right? This is not Trump's fault. This is not, as I said, any more than H1N1 was Obama's fault. But Trump is
that was
president.
because I said, no, go on.
No, sure. Well, look, I'm perfectly convenient. I never one time blamed Obama for that. But Trump is president, and the executive branch is the one with all of the resources to do something about this problem. This is what the founders, this is why we have an executive, okay? Because the founders knew that, 500 and something people elected to Congress wouldn't be able to agree on anything.
What do you call? I call Congress a ram ranch.
It works for me.
Okay.
Works for me. And so the thing is, I understand if people hate Trump. Okay, I don't like certain political figures either. But at the end of the day, until you give me some specific things that he should have done differently and that he would have known at the time, you're just being a little bitch about this. I'm sorry. I know you hate Trump, and that's what's happening, right? Is that most normal people who are relatively apolitical are saying, crap, what are we doing? And the thing about it is, we are bending the curve down. Although if I hear that one more time on the news, I'm going to scream. But we're bending the curve down. We're not. Yes, it's out of control in New York City. But guess what? The dipstick mayor of New York City did not take this thing seriously. Okay, the idiot mayor of New Orleans actually said, "Yeah, let's do Mardi Gras." Let's do Mardi Gras. And then comes as, well, if Trump had told me this is serious, I'd have canceled Mardi Gras. No, you wouldn't have.
What about
I mean,
what about these profiteering guys? Like the hand sanitizer guy, now there's the mask guy.
Well, this is just this is again these are grandstanding idiot politicians actually sabotaging the market's ability to increase the supply of these things. This is what I think we talked about this last time, that
probably because if some guy's able to sell a mask for $20 that normally sells for 50 cents.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of those masks on Amazon real quick.
Somebody's going to make a mask. Like they're going to just, someone will produce them, like GM or whatever.
It's no economists even Marxist left-wing economists agree that if you impose a price limit on something, you will get a shortage of that thing. It's a mathematical certainty, basically. And so when you are nailing profiteers, you're imposing a price maximum. And unfortunately, even my own home state, even my governor, our attorney general, has given into this idiocy.
Yeah,
and I just don't know. I don't get it. I think though at the end of the day, unfortunately, I don't think these people, they're going to fall. The government's going to fall back on the police power.
Yeah, because that's what they do, and it's really frustrating.
And remember too, because of the New Deal case, the switch in time that saved 9. There is no right. There's no fundamental right to economic due process. So it's going to be mere rationality is the standard that it would be. Just real quick for the chat, the Supreme Court has 3 standards that it reviews government actions. Okay, and that's called the standard of review. if you know the standard of review, 2/3 of the time you're going to know the outcome. The lowest level is mere rationality. That's a very deferential standard. The law in question has to be rationally related to a legitimate government interest. Well, rationally related is not a very. It's almost like prima facie. You know,
it's lower. I think. I mean, it's
that it's not insane for the government to have an interest in that.
Yeah, and that doesn't even have to be the rational relation doesn't even have to be the intended relation to even an intended purpose. Just any legitimate government purpose at all, anywhere. And then it just has to be rationally related to that. Whether that jives with the intent of the statute or not is completely irrelevant.
That's right.
And that's actually part of how the Obamacare decision was rendered, is that Roberts came out and said, look, this doesn't rationally relate to the Commerce Clause, as they're claiming. Instead, because there's a tax included, it relates to the taxing and spending power, and it is rationally related to the government's ability to tax and spend. So therefore, Obamacare stands. It got a rational basis treatment in a similar way.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that opinion, but
it's because it's garbage.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, the bottom line is, if you know the standard of review is going to be mere rationality, 99.99% of the time, the government, the law or whatever the government action is going to be upheld. At the other end of the standard is strict scrutiny. You know, it must be it must be compelling government interest,
and it must be
necessary.
The least restrictive means necessary to enact a compelling government interest.
Yeah. And the statute is almost never going to survive that. And then you have what we call intermediate scrutiny, and that's where it's the coin toss. It's reasonable. What is that? That's reasonably related to a legitimate. It's in between.
Intermediate scrutiny. What's that? It has to be.
It's been too long since I've been in a con law class.
It's a messy standard because it's just made up. They used to only have strict scrutiny and rational basis.
Well, the funny thing is the Supreme Court doesn't actually acknowledge the standard of review stuff. That's a construct of constitutional law professors. They just all started noticing that, well, anyway.
I mean, they do now. They actually call it strict scrutiny or intermediate scrutiny or rational basis.
You're right. But actually, when I was in law school, they were still kind of pretending like there wasn't a standard review, which was bizarre. So back up. So the court said, okay, there are certain fundamental rights that deserve strict scrutiny. For instance, any law that makes a distinction based on race is going to be subject to strict scrutiny. Any law that makes a distinction on gender is going to be intermediate scrutiny, because there actually are legitimate differences between men and women, right?
Yeah.
But because of that stupid case in the 1930s, any law that deals with economics is gonna be mere rationality.
Is that Wickard versus Filburn?
I can't remember.
That's the worst case. That's the Dormant Commerce Clause case.
It was the switch in time that saved nine.
Oh, that's not Wickard.
They basically gutted the idea of economic due process, of any economic constitutional rights, and they just simply made it up out of the whole cloth. I mean, it was horrible. Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't think these guys are going to get much of a remedy from the Supreme Court, particularly in the context of a pandemic.
It's West Coast Hotel versus Parrish.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
It was. Anyway. What happened was FDR was wanting Congress to give him the right to start appointing additional Supreme Court justices to stack the court.
Yeah,
and the court chickened out.
Well, yeah, because the court was striking down New Deal provisions.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, that's the thing.
Because FDR, it was absolutely opposed to any sort of constitutional scrutiny at the time.
I mean, people have a constitutional right to contract. How they read that out of the Constitution still is bizarre. I mean, that's in anyway.
I actually want to talk about that. So what do you think? Sure. This is just speculation, of course. So on the first thing, on the guys who are price gouging and having their property seized by the government, that's a taking, and they will have a legitimate claim. against the government. I mean, if you have 80,000 masks, you're talking about, I have to imagine you spent 40 grand on those masks. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But the value, the economic value of those masks would be, it's the fair market value. Now, do you make the argument that, look, I was selling these things for $5 a piece?
Oh, you absolutely do, because it's fair market value when the taking occurred.
Yeah.
And it has to be that way. Otherwise, let's say that it was let's say it was a legitimate taking to put a highway through a piece of property. Well, the government doesn't get to say, well, a month earlier that property sold for far less. If I can show that, yeah, but the day you took it, I had somebody who was willing to buy it for X, that's going to be the price thing. That may be the only way that the profiteers can get made whole. I believe they should win that. But again,
there's no way they give them the gouged market value.
Yeah, well, but they should.
Yeah, I mean, they should overplay how much the market value was, because the government's going to meet them in the middle on the taking.
Yeah, well, that's and that's the other thing too, right? What the fair market value is a fact question, and that usually means that a jury is going to determine it. But on the other hand, they probably can prove that they have sold these masks at.
I'd go for a bench trial on that one. No way a jury says, look, you hoarded 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer.
You know what? I might be tempted in certain real conservative jurisdictions, like Smith County, even, because
this would be
I don't know.
Well, might be a federal. That's a federal case, though, isn't it? Takings. That's a federal question.
Well, it is, but yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Well, but state constitutions probably have takings stuff in them too, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends who does the taking, because if it's FBI,
the juries are still going to be drawn from a certain geographical area.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's one of those things. It doesn't really matter what should happen. It's a hard sell because people just have an intuitive outrage at gouging.
Yeah.
Because economics is simply not intuitive.
Yeah, well, it doesn't feel right. The problem is that it is right.
Yes,
that's. But you don't like it. I mean, I wouldn't like going to the store when there's a shortage of chicken and having to spend $25 to buy a chicken. But if there's a shortage of chicken, that's just how much it's going to cost to get a chicken.
If you want affordable chicken, then you've got to let that price spike so that people will go, oh crap, I can make a fortune, and they'll start, making chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing, and I keep getting back to the thing of why would you sell? Just put it on eBay.
eBay shut the hand sanitizer guy down. He was doing his business on eBay and I think Amazon on their marketplace, and they both said no more. So then he was trying to sell it elsewhere.
Well, but why not just do an auction privately? Go, okay, I'm selling hand sanitizers. Email me what you'll pay.
Yeah.
I mean, that gets, if somebody comes to me and says, Ty, I'll give you $100 for this bottle of hand sanitizer, and I say, okay. Sorry, I'm not price gouging anybody.
I think the interesting thing is we've just what someone brought up in an earlier super chat is now we have our U.S. government negotiating with an oil cartel to artificially limit supply to raise price, which is the exact same thing that they're saying that the individual guy can't do. We're going to just tell OPEC to do it.
Yeah. And, I personally, what I'd do, I think Trump's got the authority to do this through the executive branch. I'd just simply double our national petroleum stockpile, because you can't go too wrong stockpiling petroleum. If we buy another year's worth of petroleum to store, now I'm assuming we would have places to put it, that would accomplish the exact same thing. That would drive the price up, and we'd get something out of it. Because, the problem is, and look, I'm from Texas. I represent people in the oil business.
A price increase in the oil business is good for most of your clients, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Per
That's my
barrel
point.
increase is good for them.
Oh yeah, no, it's great for us, but for the rest of the country, and not so much, because as a proposition, the lower the energy cost of anything, the more economically advantageous it is. But that's the thing about economics, right? Is that there's always winners and losers in any kind of policy type thing, right? And so when oil prices go up, yeah, the oil producers make more money, and everybody else suffers. When oil prices tank, well, the oil producers are screwed over, but everybody does better. So,
Oh, the
and that,
80s were terrible for American
oh
oil.
God, well, they were so bad that Tyler, Texas, which was a snooty little oil town whenever I moved here in '76. I mean, this was the center of the old East Texas oil fields, and I mean, you had snooty old money and who had made, who found oil under their peach orchard, and now this makes me so much better. And and boy, that flush out in the '80s was probably the best thing that's ever happened to this city, because we had to completely diversify our economy. We're now actually a medical hub, and that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
there was a while when that oil money made the per capita income of Tyler was higher than Beverly Hills. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah,
it was one of the highest in the country. It was a
yeah.
massive amount
And
of money.
it was pretty impressive in '76 when we moved over here. I mean, that was, my parents bought a supermarket. That's how I wound up here. Is my dad? We lived in Baton Rouge. My dad was a grocery store manager, and he had put the word out uh, with the company that sold the groceries to this grocery store. I'd like to buy a store, and they had a real cool program. They'd take these young entrepreneurial types. The company's called Malone and Hyde. They were a grocery distributor. They would, you know, put them through a management training class, teach them how to, then stick them in a store somewhere and let them learn and watch them. And when they got some experience, they'd say, okay. And then they'd start looking for a store that was for sale. And when they found one, they'd say, hey, so and so, you know, you want a grocery store, we'll finance it for you. Now the only thing is you got to buy your groceries from us. Well, you got to buy a grocery from somewhere, and they didn't gouge you or anything.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's what happened. And that store came up in Tyler, and my mom told me one time, she said, "Oh yeah, we looked into all that. We looked at per capita income. It's like that's a wealthy little town. How do we not? How can we not? I mean, you know, so it's gonna be hard not to make money in that." And
Yeah.
but yeah, Tyler was a snooty, snotty little town when I moved here.
Still is on one side of the tracks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not quite so bad. I mean, the area that your grandparents and that I live in was actually built in the mid '80s by a bunch of new money people, a bunch of Philistines.
Yes.
And we have it's a wonderful neighborhood. We have a golf course, and our HOA doesn't jack with anybody. We have a couple of parties every year, and no tree police walk up and down the street saying your tree is too close to the curb and all that bullshit. Uh,
Oh boy, I hate HOAs, man.
you know what? We got about 3 scalps on our belt. We've taken out 3 HOAs. It would be 4, and now these guys were it would be 4, except the 4th one decided just to make my client the president.
There you
The
go.
HOA. That was a cheap shot, but they did, and yeah. I was like, nobody ever says, I really like my HOA. They're doing God's work. So, I don't like it at all.
Next thing we've got here. Sloth of Oh wait, no, I did that one. Wendell 2020 says, what to do? Poor Lemoyne can't run from the Wu flu. Sadly, his lungs are barely intact. If he gets it, he'll go hack, hack, hack. You can't run, you can't hide from the rage of Ron with remote held high, screaming, die, bitch, die. So that was very graphic.
It's very intense.
Yeah. The Tiger 15 says, Duncan versus Bakara, challenging constitutional authority of high cap magazine bans in Ninth Circuit, heard oral arguments today. Would you do a video on this case despite losing all your guns in that tragic boating accident? Yeah, I would like to review it.
High capacity magazines?
Yeah, I need to have a Second Amendment panel. I've been needing to have one for a while, but coronavirus has made everything weird. So maybe that'd be a good one to talk about on it. Bart Silverstein says, "Is this same program available to corporations?"
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Up to a $10 million cap. I mean, Walmart is not going to go very far with a $10 million payroll.
No,
like they're just not going to get far.
It's a well-designed program to help small business. It really is.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm actually hearing myself say that.
Well, doing the math, $100,000 cap per employee is 1,000 employee business, right? That's to get $10 million.
Yeah. If you had
wait, no, it's
no, it's you get to divide it by 2. Divide 10 million by 2.5.
100,000 would be 100 employees.
No, it's okay. No, it's monthly. You take $100,000 divided by 12. That's basically the maximum amount of payroll you can count for one employee.
Oh, okay. Right? So 10 million. Yeah. It's 10 million monthly. Is the cap?
Yeah. Well, 10 million.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, I'm doing a spreadsheet thingy here. All right. So basically, the math works like this. Okay. All right. So any amount you pay someone in excess of $8,333 in a month.
Okay.
You don't get that, right? So let's say that I made $10,000 that month. Well, I get that that gets cut down to $8,333.
Right. What about? But how do they derive the $10 million cap?
Oh, it's the lesser of, right? It's the lesser of 2.5 times a month's payroll or $10 million.
Oh, okay. So,
right. So
yeah. So if it's, God, I don't want to figure that out.
No, you would. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah. If I'm thinking of it correctly, if you had $4 million a month payroll, 2.5 times that would be $10 million. And if that 4.5 million, if that $4 million of payroll, if none of those people were over $100,000, then you'd get 10 million. So,
sure. For maxed out employees, it's about 370.
Yeah, and taking your hypothetical $4.5 million a month payroll, that would be a lot of employees.
From what I gathered, it is about 370 at the max. That's if you're paying them all $8,300 a month.
Yeah, exactly. And remember too, Nick, that the program is limited to small business, which is 500 employees less.
Oh, okay.
Now there are various exceptions to that, but that's the general rule.
Oh, Ty, I'm gonna have to do some essential travel. My lights are starting to go in the vault.
Lights are starting to go.
I have big, giant fluorescent lights, so I'm gonna have to find a hardware store. That's going to be rough.
Okay, so this is interesting. I mean, I'm sorry, you got me curious about something.
Yeah, well, I want to know more.
Yeah, well, I'm fairly myopic when I'm learning about these programs. I typically analyze them with the needs of my clients in mind. So if you had a $10 million cap, all right, and so if I'm doing the math right, it looks like if you're doing the math right, you might not mathematically be able to get to, well, yeah, you can. $4 million divided by, there it is. You probably did the math right, and I didn't.
Well, I guessed on some numbers because I didn't. Yeah. I wasn't doing it.
Well, I'm perfectly. I'm kind of punchy. It's been a.
Actually, you're spinning back hook kicky.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, the next trust distribution, we'll talk about that, Yes, okay, $10 million would be what if you had 480 employees making $100,000 a year. So it's actually going to be very hard to get to the 10 million because the 500 employee cap.
Right. So you'd have to have a bunch of high earning.
Well, yeah, and every single one of those 480, has to make 100,000 or more. Now, the funny thing is, I represent I'm involved with a software company, and we're doing our math. We do have a lot of highly compensated people, so they're having to actually do some math and all that. But anyway, but the thing is, y'all don't. Here's the thing I would say to everybody is, look, you don't really have to do this math, okay? Just fill the application out, let the bank do it for you. Because as a practical matter, they're going to loan you what they're going to loan you. You can say, well, but the statute says they don't care.
Well, the really funny thing about this, and this is what I kind of wanted people to kind of grasp as small business owners or 1099 employees or independent contractors, stuff like this, is that if you're a sole proprietor, the requirements for loan forgiveness are literally that you pay yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's honestly, if you make over 100 grand a year or whatever, that you are going to get 2.5 times the 8,300, which comes out to, how much is that? It's
2.5 times the 83. Yeah, well, it's 2.5, 16,000, say almost 20,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. Again, we're back to this. You literally have nothing to lose, and it's not a complicated, long, tedious loan thing. If you use QuickBooks or anything to track your stuff, you're probably going to be all right.
Or you can just take your 1099.
Yeah. If you're a 1099 employee, that's a great case scenario, because literally it's just a matter of get a copy of your last tax return. Or whatever. So everybody that if you own a business, if you are an independent contractor, if you're anything but a W-2 employee, okay, go out
and
there
you have income,
right? Go out there and get yourself some of that free government money. And the path is Google your bank and the Paycheck Protection Program.
Look, if you're a North Carolina attorney in Chapter 13 whose law firm doesn't make any money, you're probably not going to qualify. It's just going to be tough. It's just going to be hard. You're going to have to. Well, you might qualify for like $1,000 or something.
Yeah. Well, your pathetic, pitiful, wussy little GoFundMe's really aren't going to count as income either.
Oh wait. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure they don't count those as income.
No, they don't. They don't. The GoFundMe is a gift. Unless you are giving the the person that's making the donation, unless you're giving them something back of value, it's a gift.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of thing that somebody might wind up in federal prison because they counted that the wrong way. That's the thing. When the media attempts to discredit this program, that's going to spur political action to run down all of the fraud. So do not commit fraud in this program, guys. Just don't do it. Do it straight up. Give the banks accurate information, and when they say we will loan you X, you say thank you, and let them loan it to you. You have literally nothing to lose.
Yeah. But again, make sure I want to get back to is that the compliance with the forgiveness appears to be, and you'll want to check with the bank, or you might want to check with an attorney in your jurisdiction. The compliance is to pay yourself.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Take it, pay yourself, and then invest in your business or do whatever you're going to do. But it's like the requirement isn't that you take the money and then buy new equipment, or that you take the money and do this thing.
Actually, that's the interesting thing about this.
They want you to pay yourself.
You're supposed to only spend that money on payroll, rent, utilities, and some other stuff. Now, the problem is money is fungible. So I'm not sure, I'm not really sure how they're going to track that. And as a practical matter, I don't think they are. I think they're going to say, look, we're wanting you to say that in good faith, that's all you're going to use the money for. And to the extent you don't use for that, well, then it's a loan and you'll have to pay it back. But like I said, at 0.5% or 1% over 10 years, that's.
Yeah, just invest it and through arbitrage, make money.
Yeah.
Like a bank does.
Yeah.
There are amazing things you can do with $100,000. Well, even depending on how much, but even 20 grand, like a $20,000 investment, you can get some pretty stable alternative investments that are out there. You'll out earn 1% really easily
Yes, you absolutely will. And there's also some interesting income tax issues on this. So I was kicking this around with a buddy, or with a client slash buddy earlier tonight. He said, "Well, let's say that I pay $100,000 of payroll next month. I still get to deduct that off my income tax, don't I?" And I'm going, "Yes, you do. As a matter of fact," he said. So that generates an income tax benefit for me. Yeah, say an average of $39,000. And he said, so I'm going to get the government to pay my income, pay that for me, and I also get this tax benefit. I'm kind of going.
Now the question is, will the loan forgiveness count as income under the IRS?
No, that's
really?
Yeah.
Because the loan discharge does.
I know.
So like if you're a random, let's say hypothetically you're a Twitch streamer.
That would sabotage the whole purpose of the program.
Well, but no, I mean otherwise though. Let's say you're like a Twitch streamer or whatever, and you make $10,000 a month, so $120,000 a year, for example, and you have $150,000 of consumer debt, and you somehow manage to qualify for Chapter 7, you get $150,000 of consumer debt forgiveness. Yeah, that's $150,000 of income.
It is there, but remember, there's one real big exception to that. It's not applicable to the extent that you're insolvent.
Oh, damn.
Right. And of course, insolvency is one of those things that has real specific meaning that nobody actually can agree on.
I mean, the technical meaning of insolvency is that your liabilities
exceed your assets,
which for most Americans is literally everybody.
Well, yeah, and if I'm recalling this correctly, you do include the debt that they're attempting to forgive, right?
Right.
That's still a liability. So almost as a matter, I mean, it's actually pretty hard as a practical matter to get debt forgiveness income actually picked up.
Oh, that's too bad. That would be funny.
Yeah.
See, that would be funny in my hypothetical.
Yeah. I think so. But at the end of the day, though, if you hypothetically lied on your bankruptcy application, tax problems will be your worst. It will be the least of your issues, I think.
Yeah. Hypothetically. Okay, let me read some more of these chats here.
Yes.
We've got Blaine20 says some condo owners here are begging for reduced dues because they can't do vacation rentals here in Florida. Associations may struggle if they lower dues. Associations should struggle and die, in my opinion. Have either of you heard any mention of relief for HOAs and /COAs? No.
No, but that doesn't mean it exists. I destroy HOAs. I do not work for them.
Let me suggest this. If you are a commercial property owner or a commercial property overseer, like an HOA or a COA, you likely have a commercial banker that you've developed a good relationship with that is going to work with you in a way that a normal person going to a mortgage mill will not. So you're right.
Agreed. I'm sorry, I interrupted
your HOA creditor is probably going to defer payments and extend the notes for your HOAs and stuff like that. Because if the banks are able to absorb this type of cost, and right now we haven't heard anything about banks shutting down from this. If they can absorb the cost by deferring the payments for 2 to 3 months rather than go through foreclosure costs and stuff like that, they're going to do that. And I mean, I know people who are landlords. I have clients who own properties and stuff like that. And they are not even concerned at the moment, for the most part, because of the relationships they have with their lenders. They're going to be able to negotiate this better than you will on your home mortgage because, to Wells Fargo or whatever who has 1 billion mortgages, you're just a person. If you're a guy with 8 commercial mortgages on apartment buildings, trust me, they're going to work with you.
Well, what did J.P. Morgan? What didn't he say? It's something like that. If you owe the bank $1,000, you're in trouble. If you owe the bank $1 million, the bank's in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
And see, right now everybody's kind of. It really is kind of interesting to watch, and it's sort of inspiring. People really are kind of holding hands and singing "Kumbaya," and everybody's trying to help each other. that's going to start to fray if we don't get the economy restarted.
30 days were good. 60 days we're questioning.
Yeah.
90 to 120, pushing into 180 days, where people are going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, the asinine thing is look, Tyler, Texas should not be treated the same way as New York City. It's just that simple. Okay. In Tyler, it ought to be, look, you got social, wash your hands, do the social distancing, keep the bars and restaurants closed. I'm sorry, restaurant and bar owners. Look, y'all really are unique threats.
Okay, Kami, go on.
Okay, well let's do it, baby.
No, please say it like this. Well, let us do it. We will close down bars and restaurants.
We will close down. What was it, that Russian guy that you worked with? The one that always had his aisle straight. And
what was that guy's name?
Yeah,
I just called him the Russian. His name started with a V. I think it was just Victor. Victor
Vladimir. But how did he say it? Something like he had some funny anyway.
His work was always done, but I never saw him doing it.
Yes.
He literally. So this is
I lived under communist dictatorships. I'm not.
Yeah. He would just. Like that. Every time I walked by, because I worked in the back stock room, because the smart ones got moved back there. It's embarrassing. But I'd go out.
I told him that they were the smart ones.
Yeah. Victor would always just be standing there at the end of the aisle. Literally every day I saw him standing there with his arms folded, like waiting for instructions, because he was already done. I was like, Victor, everybody else is still working. Well, it's fine.
It is a small thing to have this.
Yeah, I like that guy. Salutations, Tayu says, anything in excess of 100K on employees' pay will not be paid out. 500 employees or less, it's first come, first serve. As a guy who works in the bank, go do it, but don't expect it soon. Look, but go do it.
Go do it. And I tell you what, somebody's standing on the bank's necks, because they are moving faster than I've ever seen them move. The problem is, it's going to be interesting to see if the banks can just overcome their own innate.
I'm calling my banker tomorrow. Frankly, I'm calling my banker, because I have two people on payroll. I have me and I have an artist.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you send the bank accurate information and they loan you the money based on that accurate information, it doesn't really matter if the bank complied with it or not. That's not your problem. You didn't do anything wrong. You said, here's the information. So just send it in and see what they say.
Yep. Trom2CH2 says, as someone that is deemed essential and have to actually work during this time, is it wrong of me to be jealous of this bill allowing people to not work and still get paid? In some places, unemployment is paying more as well.
Yeah.
For a lot of workers, you will still get the money, even if you'll still get stimulus money, even if you're still working. Now, it's the limit is 150,000 per couple, or something like 90,000 or 95,000 for individuals. And if you're under that, you're going to get the stimulus and you're going to get your pay, which is good.
Yeah.
But honestly, you should be very thankful that you have a job, because a lot of people would trade a stimulus bill or a stimulus payment that is 3 to 10 weeks away from coming. They would trade working with a regular paycheck for that.
The federal, was it $600 a week more, or there's some flat federal, we're going to do this on top of whatever the state benefits are. They're absolutely in the territory of paying you more on welfare, or at least nearly as much on welfare as when you worked. But the problem is, human psychology is a much more complicated animal than that. People don't just go do the thing that they make the most money at.
Yeah.
Most people feel like most people do not want to be on welfare. Okay. They just don't, there is shame in the human race. And I can assure you that the business owner, these programs are showing a very, very good insight into the psyche of business owners. Guys, business owners desperately want to keep their people.
Yeah.
As someone who has had to go through this week, the worst thing in the world is to have to lay off good people. It's just it's a soul destroying thing. So the idea that I'm gonna fire all my people and keep that sweet government money, obviously anybody would say that has never actually been in business, because that's just not how it works.
Right.
You know.
Right.
In fact, a lot of businesses are going to keep people that they really should fire.
Did you want to talk about that anymore at
sure.
all, or
we can a little bit,
because you just mentioned having to you mentioned laying off people and then said that you had to engage in something like that this week.
Yep.
So are people going to notice some changes at Beard and Harris?
Yes, sure. And they're going to notice some because it's an ever evolving thing. But no, some of our lawyers are no longer with us. They've gone on to other jobs and have improved their position in some cases. Like Jim has gone to a new firm. That the downside of hiring the best people that you can find is they will be poached at some point. And there are a lot of employers who will flat out say, I'm not going to get the very sharpest people because I'm going to invest all this time in them, and somebody's going to hire them away. I have never been that guy. I never will be that guy. And so a firm made Jim an offer, and I said, Jim, if you don't take that offer, I will fire you myself because I can't match that. And and so my right arm, my best friend. It was a very bittersweet thing, but I'm happy for him. I don't like losing him, but he's still out there. People jump firms all the time. It's actually quite unusual for a law firm to stay together as long as we have.
Yeah.
So Jim's moved on. Carrie's more complicated because I'm actually already working on a reworking of everything. So stay tuned.
Okay.
I've encouraged others to become solo practitioners, and I've worked out into independent contractor arrangements where if I need your services, I'll pay you, and I'll pay you more an hour than I was paying you on salary. That seems only fair.
Yeah.
And
because if they're generating business and they're doing more things with less firm resources, then you pay them more.
Yeah, so I've had to lay off people, and law firms everywhere are laying people off. I talked to a very kind of elite firm in Dallas. They do a lot of divorce and stuff, and he said they laid off half their staff this week. They haven't laid off any lawyers yet. I said, well, but it's coming. He said, yeah, and that's part of sitting in the big chair. If you run a business, you're gonna go through that, and it's not a very fun thing. But at the same time, at the end of the day, when you run a business, you have to stay in business. And they understand it. If you've got good people, they don't like it, but they understand it. One of my little gripes is, and this is, reflected in this process, is I try very, very hard when I have to do something like this to not go in and whine about how bad I feel.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more irritating to someone to go, I just hate that I've got to fire you. Yeah, that's tough on you.
It's really tough on the other person.
Yeah, that must really be hard for you, Ty. You having to fire me and everything.
So,
but this is entirely economically motivated. It has nothing to do with my people.
Right.
And they're still out there. And when the economy recovers, I'll scoop them back up,
So there's going to be an obvious question about here, especially about the Vic case.
Sure.
Are we going to see changes in the makeup on the Vic case?
Not changes in the sense that there's going to be no new people coming in. The team's going to be slimmed down.
Sure.
Well, because, I'll be honest, we don't really need the amount of talent that we've got. I tend to just, be one of those. Let's use every weapon we got. Martinez Sue, of course, will continue. My boys in Fort Worth will be there.
So Martinez and Sue are still on.
Yeah, Jim's not going to be directly involved except as we need him.
Okay.
He's been, but look. Real and Toy's attorneys, two of them left their firms and went to different places right at the beginning of the case.
Right.
there's nothing sinister about this, and there's none of this. Oh my God, ha ha ha, you're doomed. I'm not doomed. First of all, I personally work for very wealthy people. I'm going to get paid.
Right.
I'm not, I'm not worried. There's another huge acquisition that is potentially coming down the pike. That if it makes, it's even bigger than the Hormel deal. So
Sure.
I'm fine. But they don't just disappear into a black hole, right? It's like you just simply call Jim up and say, "Hey, man, I need you to work on this." Okay, and
Right.
he bills me on a different letterhead.
Yep.
So it's mostly just I don't like change, and I like my people, and but I will never allow one of my people to turn down an incredible opportunity out of loyalty to me. Like I said, I was deadly serious. I'll fire you myself if I have to.
Hmm.
If somebody comes along and offers you twice what I can afford to pay you, or just what you're worth. I mean, the same exact lawyer, okay, can be worth X at one firm and can actually be worth 2 or 3X at the other firm, depending upon that the two firms' business model, the kind of clients they have, and so forth.
Yeah,
Right?
the skill set of the lawyer and the needs of the firm.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, well said. That's exactly right. And so, if someone if someone has a value of X to me, and someone else offers them 2X, now honestly, wouldn't it really be kind of sleazy of me to say, well, if you're really loyal, you'd stay with me? That ain't
Yeah.
right. That's not. I'm not going to do that to people.
Right.
And
Well, now
nobody
we know
got.
why you did that spinning back kick, though.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
kidding.
yeah. No. No. I mean, look. This is one of those. All you people out there who think you might want to be business owners, I wouldn't have it any other way. The idea of working for somebody else, I'd never do it. But let me tell you, the big chair does have its downsides. And I've always been, I have fired every person personally that's ever been fired. I will not slough that off on someone else.
Right.
And it's a gut wrenching thing. Now, I was fortunate in that I was able to place my people in many cases. The ones I wasn't able to place, they're still there. I'm letting they're they got the same office, the same everything. They're putting their own operation together, and of course, I'm helping them.
Yeah.
And if this thing turns around next week, most of them be so. No, first of all, our friends ought to understand this is just part of the process, and it'll be good. If our enemies are gloating, oh fuck you, you're idiots. You just don't know
No,
anything about how business
most of them
works.
are getting fired.
Yes, yes. Oh, absolutely. Well, most of them don't have jobs anyway, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. But yeah, it's just you know that's as kind of philosophical thing. Uh, I tend to be very stubborn about certain things. I don't quit easily, and that is and that quality will will be a benefit 98% of the time.
I'm going to
But that
need you to put a quarter in the swear jar from my trust.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm getting wound down. Yeah. Well, that's here's the thing about me that you can understand. That I think people have seen enough of me. It's when I get really angry or emotional that I simply don't seem to be able to control the profanity. And it's been a long week this week. But that said, you know, we're gonna be fine. And like I said, they didn't disappear. They're still there. If I need them, they'll be there. And if I don't, but no, we are tightening the team up. Definitely. That's just, uh, uh, but this is a holocaust for law firms. Um, the legal profession is getting the absolute crap beat out of it. And I'm very interested to see how this stimulus money, if it's going to do anything for them. And I really don't think it's going to be that helpful for most law firms. It's going to let them hang on to everybody for a month or two more. But the problem that law firms have got is no one is signing up any new cases.
Yeah, because it's hard to get clients, and people aren't out slipping and falling.
And they're not divorcing, because apparently even if they wanted to get a divorce, if you're stuck at home in a pandemic, Everybody's going, you know what? I don't know if I can afford to get a divorce right now. It's all of the stuff, you know.
Well, and you're not going to get a hearing either.
No, litigation is completely ended because one side or the other in every lawsuit on the planet wants to delay this thing, delay the case. And so everybody's pleading the coronavirus. It's like, I can't respond to discovery because coronavirus.
If you need a delay in your case right now, you call the court clerk and you say, look, I need a delay. I need a delay in the case. And they'll say, why? And you go, medical reasons. And the judge will immediately issue the order if the clerk doesn't, because the judge doesn't want coronavirus. Because the judges are old and they'll die.
Right.
There will be a reaping.
Well, and thing is,
oh my God! Imagine if like 10,000 judges died and Trump just started layering the courts with 30-year-old hard R Republican assholes.
That's a plot of a novel. That is the plot of a novel. It's sort of a variation of the Pelican Brief, But yeah, this thing is gonna, it's an interesting. Maybe for a different show. It's a real interesting thing to muse about. What is going to be the impact of the coronavirus? Because there are going to be some very clear winners and losers. One of the things that I honestly think is going to happen is I think that the left is going to take it in the gut because so many of their fetishes, packing everybody into dense cities.
So you're saying the fetishes of the left are packing? What about ramming or ranching?
I'm not saying that, but that's still pretty funny.
Just wondering if there are 18 naked leftists on the Ram Ranch.
Oh, don't make me visualize that. Golly, I got to go to bed in a little bit, and I don't want to be thinking. No, but what I mean is things like open borders, packing people into dense cities, mass transit, even banning plastic bags. All of those things are downright deadly in a pandemic, Yeah. And the thing is, the left can whine about all they want to. Anybody with half a brain goes, well, no, in the middle of no, we should close our borders in a pandemic. I mean, so. I mean, if the left doesn't change its sales pitch, they're going to get slaughtered. And I don't think they can change their sales pitch because I think that they are religious fanatics at this point.
What about Judge Lee Yackel there in Texas, protecting abortions in Corona? Like, did you see that? Because Texas tried to shut down abortion clinics as elective medical procedures that are non-essential. And Lee Yackel comes out in a time when he's a federal judge in Austin. Yeah. And in a time when every other civil liberty is being tossed out, right? Speech, assembly, religion, everything is shut down.
Yeah, but for some reason, abortion is protected.
The non-enumerated right is protected. The Ninth Amendment fiction created by Justice Black.
The one that is created by penumbras and emanations. Literally the language, folks. That right is the result of penumbras and emanations. From the Fourth Amendment, right?
It's the Fourth and the Ninth.
Our con law professor, who was a far left guy, he's a very good professor, but he was an unapologetic liberal. He walks, he goes, "What the hell is a penumbra?"
Oh, you got to have a good Republican con law professor like I did.
No, I had a great one for First Amendment. He was a conservative. He was the one that actually. What have I done to make you hate me like this? He's the one that called on me on hate speech on flag burning after I had just absolutely excoriated my classmates on hate speach. And then, I said, well, yeah, of course there ought to be a laws banning flag burning. And
mine was a Republican Persian man named Afshin who was general counsel for the CIA.
Well, now that's an interesting.
He is my favorite professor of anything of all time. Hilarious.
You know what's fun?
Lots of publications to his name too.
Now I'm just being indulgent, but what really is kind of fun? I've gotten to do this a few times. Is to call one of your favorite professors 10 years later and say, can you back me up in a case? I mean, I remember a big environmental issue I had to handle for a manufacturing client. I got to call my real property professor because he was environmental law was his big deal, and it's like, hey, Professor so and so, I'm Ty Beard. He goes, hey, how you doing? Well, I appreciate you pretending like you remember me.
Yeah.
but it was so cool though. He's like, so anyway. But anyway, yeah, my con law professor, he just flat said, this is the stupidest decision I've ever read.
It's terrible. Ginsburg has even said it's a bad decision.
Oh, it
and
is.
She likes it.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Because she gets to eat the aborted fetuses.
In her carbonite.
For power.
Armored case. The thing about it, though, is it does have one minor virtue, and that is it's predictable. It's bright, it's... we know within reason, we more or less know when the trimesters occur. And so first trimester, it's no regulation for any reason. Second trimester, health of the mother. Third, a state can regulate it if it wants to. Planned Parenthood versus
well, that's what
Casey.
It was. Yeah, now we got PP versus Casey straight out of Minnesota.
Yeah, you can always tell if somebody actually knows what they're talking about because Roe v. Wade hasn't been the law of the land since I was in law school because Planned Parenthood came down
1992.
Yep. And the problem with Casey is
it goes with fetal viability,
right? And that's going to change as medical technology gets better. And plus, it's putting courts in the position of having to determine a very, very complex medical issue.
Yeah, it's interesting because we have successful births surviving to adulthood at 21 and a half weeks. Or I think it's 21 weeks, 5 days is the youngest. And fetal viability still hovering in some states around 26, 27 weeks.
Yeah, and as I recall, a word around the campfire is that Planned Parenthood, that one of the justices flipped at the very last minute. So originally it was going to strike down Roe v. Wade and be done with it. And so at the last minute, it was at O'Connor, one of the centrist judges weaseled out. And so they just kind of crowd, okay, well, how about this? Well, okay, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But, so Roe, but there's your evidence that Roe is a crappy holding because it's too clean. It's too, and I think it was Blackmun, one of the justices had always wanted to be a doctor, and he had, and so he got to play doctor and that stuff. But yeah, that's an issue that, in my opinion, should have been left to the states.
Yeah. That's the proper motive.
That's
If you want an abortion, go live in California. If you don't want an abortion, live Texas. That's
and
Roe v. Wade was Texas, by the way, if anybody doesn't know.
Yeah. So anyway.
And Jane Roe also has been a staunch anti-abortion advocate ever since.
Sure, because guess what?
She had the baby.
Yeah.
She had the baby. That's it. I don't think most people don't understand that. I think her name is Norma. She actually had the baby because they prevented her from getting the abortion. The Supreme Court case came much later. And they tried to argue mootness because the baby was born. And they said, no, this could happen again. And
that's one of mootness was a flawed argument.
Right. But she has the baby, and then after experiencing childbirth and raising a child, she becomes an anti-abortion advocate because she's like, "Oh, I would have made the worst decision of my entire life.
I would have killed this. I would have prevented. I'll say it this way. I'm trying not to emotionally load this because I am not rigidly pro-life, but I'm also damn sure not pro-choice. My deal is this. It becomes. I personally don't know that I don't believe it's a human life at conception. Okay, but I'm damn sure that it becomes a human life a long time before the birth occurs.
I literally get rigid when we discuss pro-life.
Yeah, no, and understand. I don't. Oh God!
Come on!
Dude. Will you throw me a bone?
Don't ask me to do that. No, that was wrong.
Yeah, that didn't come out right at all. But no, the thing about the whole thing. Look, my daughter both of my daughters responded to my voice many months before they were born. You know, I could talk and they'd start kicking. I'm sorry, they were human beings at that point.
Spinning heel kicks.
Yeah, that's it. They were oh no, you know, both of them know how to do. They knew how to do crescent kicks and stuff when they were literally not even able to walk. I'd say, "Show Daddy your crescent kicking," man. They'd throw the kick, and they know how to punch. Most time, women punch like this. That's the you know that they throw a punch like this.
Mm-hmm.
And in our Taekwondo class, one of my I always got the female students, got to train them first because first thing I had to do is teach them. Yeah, right.
I saw
teach 'em how to
Sarah
punch.
Michelle Gellar punch like that in Buffy all the time. This number, like what?
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, the thing is too, you're gonna break your knuckles, and so I would work with women to say, okay, no, you put your fist down here and you go forward, and it's and all that. So no, my daughters know how to punch, and I remember one time Brianna popped her cousin, her older cousin, and I mean hit her right here. She really wasn't trying to hurt her, but her older cousin was jacking with her. Finally, she said, "Stop it!" And she threw one of those perfect martial arts punches, and waff. Okay, yeah. Let's stop that. So yeah.
Okay, let me. I know you're gonna have to go, so I want to make sure we get
I'm getting kind of wound down. So
I know
let's get as many of those super chats as possible.
Exactly. A2P. Yeah, it's your fault, not mine as the host.
Right.
A2P says Trump invoked Defense Production Act on 3M because 3M was busted selling masks to foreign countries, but not the U.S. because they outbid them. I disagree with that decision. Pay more.
Trump doesn't care.
I know. I'm not a fan of nationalizing.
But the thing is, that's just way too good of a PR opportunity for a politician. I mean,
and that's
I agree in theory as well. The question that we've all got to deal with, though, Nick, and I think this is a fair point. You know, you and I we don't disagree on the economic theory. We disagree on whether the pandemic changes the rules temporarily.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Because there is no such thing as a temporary change.
Well, and that's a fair point too.
Reagan taught us that.
Yeah, but I mean, but let's be sure we're clear on what the disagreement is. And I'm in that kind of zone to where I don't give a tinker's damn about 3M one way or the other. I'm sorry, I just don't care.
Oh, I don't either. They're scumbags.
And look, if Trump sees masks that are going to save American lives, 3M, come on, are you really that stupid? You got companies out. There's a company that gave up its patent to one of its ventilator systems to its competitors so they could make more ventilators. I mean, now I'm sure that patent probably wasn't worth that much money, but there are companies doing selfless things right now because it's good publicity. In World War II, patents were given up by companies for weapon systems to their competitors because we were trying to fight a war. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Bryce Byerly says, is Ty's back hook a preview of what happens when he gets another I do not recall? Andrew Bin says, Ty looks like he's going to sell penny stocks by phone.
Oh, you know what? So the young man will probably be my son-in-law one of these days. He showed me that scene. I haven't seen The Wolf of Wall Street, but he showed me the scene where DiCaprio does that first kind of, I got a stock for you, and the technology, and this is it's a small technological company, very sophisticated, and it shows the little shack where they're making radar detectors.
I never watched it.
That. If the preview that he showed me is any indication, it looks like it's a really good movie.
Boiler Room is a great movie.
I've heard that. I've never actually seen. Was it Glenn
Oh
Ross?
My God, you Philistine! Get off the stream.
I've seen the YouTube video of Alec Baldwin coming there, and
you got to see the whole thing.
I know.
I mean, Alec's scene is great, but the entire movie is beautiful.
No, I confess my sin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever see The Departed?
Yes, great movie also.
Oh, more headshots, and by headshot I don't mean a picture of your head. I mean
Yeah.
But do you remember that scene where Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark? I actually like him.
Oh yeah, he's great. Mark Wahlberg's
he's
hilarious.
yeah, he is. They've screwed up some kind of surveillance thing, and he is ranting at this tech guy, and the tech guy says, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Who am I? I'm the guy that does his fucking job. You must be that other guy."
That was good. And also that same scene when Alec Baldwin finds out that they don't have a camera on the back door. And
Right,
he goes up to the guy who hung up the cameras and he just right in the face. He just socks him. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what everybody would want to do right there.
Oh.
We don't have a camera in the back. Why don't we have a camera? Ah! Hits him. Oh,
Baldwin is one of those guys. I loathe and detest his politics, but I got to say, I really enjoy him as an actor.
He's the best
just
actor of all time. You can't act me, boy. Don't even try.
Oh, and of course, Jack Donaghy on 30 Rock. I mean,
he plays his antithesis perfectly, and I think the best part is I think he thought he was doing a parody, and turns out he was doing all of our hero.
Oh yeah, he's doing the guy we all want to be. It's like, I think there's definitely an All of the Family kind of aspect of that where they thought they were making a parody, and because that's the thing about All in the Family. Archie Bunker was supposed to be the nemesis that everybody hated, and they start doing the demographics and find out that actually most people are agreeing with with Archie, and finding the meathead to be this annoying, snotty little bleep.
Yeah.
So
the big red. Oh wait, no, Carrie Steers. Excuse me. Says U.S. Navy vet. Sorry.
Yeah.
U.S. Navy vet, my ship was wood and fiberglass, MCM class ship. So there you go.
Minesweeper, I guess. MCM, is that? Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're, I bet it was because it would not be metal to avoid the magnetic. Well, respect to you, my friend.
Big Red Bear. This is going back to earlier. Says deliberately calling a hoax wasn't helpful. Trying to get people to ignore it in February was also not helpful. No one in the West took it seriously, though to say Trump isn't at fault for a slow response is just not true. So that was a response there.
He's not. And here's the thing. If you bring 2020 hindsight into a debate, I'm going to point at you and laugh. Okay? I'm a historian before I was a lawyer, and that's just stupid. Sorry, it's just stupid. You have to say what at the time would a reasonable person have done it any differently? Okay, and a whole lot of and the answer is no, because they didn't. Are there lessons we can learn? Well, heck yeah, of course. But the idea that anyone should have just intuited. You know what? It's going to become necessary in a month for us to completely shut the economy down. We better do something now. I'm sorry, that's just sloppy thinking, And I'd be saying the same thing if Obama was president, and I have no use for him as a president whatsoever. Okay, as I said, it wasn't his fault that You might as well blame the president for a tornado or a hurricane, not the response afterwards, but for the occurrence of it. Who in their right mind could have predicted a pandemic? Now, I do blame someone for not having things like an adequate supply of masks, because that's the kind of emergency thing that, a competent government ought to have. But that blame splits up with everybody.
It should be like, look, a buddy of mine works logistics in a hospital. And if people knew what the stocking situation at hospitals and the sad sack of garbage unions that run them actually do, you would stop blaming government for your problems, and you would start immediately blaming the useless unions that run the support staff at your hospitals.
Unions are an arm of government. Because in a free market, they would not get the kind of legal protections they get.
Right.
And by the way, I'm not actually particularly anti-union.
I am. I'm 100%. Burn them at the stake.
But don't you live in a closed shop state, though? Isn't Minnesota a closed shop state?
Yeah, I
Or
think
is it
so. We
okay?
have the whatever the bad union system is. That's the one we
That's
have.
closed shop.
Yeah.
That's where if there's a union in place, you simply can't not be a member of the union. That system sucks. Down in Texas, I represented a union mechanical contractor, plumbing and AC, commercial stuff. And that was an example of a union system that worked actually pretty well. Basically, what all it was, the union wound up providing the hospital benefits, the train. They basically provided the things that the company would have had to have provided anyway, and at about the same price. So it was workable. But no, giving a union the advantage of a closed shop, that's insane. Um, the red tape is also crazy, right? Do you know that masks expire? No kidding.
Well,
Okay.
of course they do.
No, seriously.
Their half life has to be something like
I have a supply of
87 years.
I have a supply of masks personally, not a huge, but I got some masks now, because some months ago, a friend who worked at a hospital had to go throw out X number of expired masks, and she's like, "I'm not going to do that," so she snagged them. Okay, that's an example of a silly, ridiculous regulation that some apparatchik in the government imposed.
I love that
Okay,
word.
I do too. It's so contemptuous and it's so accurate.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing: the president is doing a very good job of. He is doing a great job of slicing through the red tape. You know, but guys, look, this is yeah, this is not something to have a political fight on, because here's the problem, you people on the other side. We got all the YouTube videos in the universe we need of your people saying, no, we shouldn't shut the border down. No, it's not a problem. Let's all come to Mardi Gras or Chinatown or whatever. Okay. So you want to play that game? Fine. You're a hypocrite. Your politicians were every bit as clueless, if not more so. Okay. But you know what grown-ups would do? Grown-ups would say, you know what, we don't have time on that. We got to fight this disease. But I'll tell you guys on the left one little thing. You have yet to figure Trump out, and that's obvious by the feckless and ineffectual way you keep attacking him. He lays rakes out in front of you, and you stomp on them as hard as you can. He's not a classic Republican. So he's not going to be a political pinata for you. When you say, Trump acted too slowly, he's going to produce Joe Biden's tweet the day before he shut the country down, where Biden went, borders are. He's going to show Granny Winebox, that would be Pelosi, saying in China, yes, come down to Chinatown on February 24th. Okay. So y'all want to have that fight, you're going to get your butts kicked. But don't do it, because grown-ups shouldn't be doing this. We need to save American lives, and we need to get our economy back. And then we can fight like cats and dogs on the politics.
Adam
You
D
know,
says, thank you, Ty, for defending the free market and thereby
you're welcome.
humanity. Hope Vic's justice isn't further delayed by the hysteria. Probably will be. Hope
It
your
probably
reply
will be.
briefs feature tables of how appellees perjured and misled the court. Cheers, friend.
We're going to be we'll be pointing certain aspects of those briefs out. I can assure you of that. We had our first deep strategy meeting today. I was just busy, and I think, of course, Nick, you're going to break my balls about something in that, because that's what you do.
It's my job.
But I think by and large, you'll at least give me a C plus.
Well, I hope so.
Well, I mean, your grading is tough but fair.
Yeah. Just depends on that cheddar. Jason of the Great Awakening says, wait, if it cripples the world equally, isn't it a great demonstration of communist power?
Oh, by the way, real quick, I know I'm trying. So one of the things that was hilarious early on was, the various people the people showing the empty shelves and going, yeah, these are the same people that gripe about Venezuela. Okay, are you people really this stupid? You know the stuff that was on the shelves are now in people's houses. In Venezuela, the stuff was never on the shelves to begin with. You really ought to be able to see the difference between those two cases. Sorry, I just
I just made the joke that it looked like Venezuelan stores, which made me feel.
Oh, yeah.
It just made me feel uncomfortable. Like it's weird for me to go into a store and see an entire shelf empty. Like we don't have anything to identify that with.
That's a jarring experience for an American because that's just simply outside of our experience.
See, the last time I saw that was when I was in Mexico, but all the stuff was just on the floor. Like literally, it was just on the floor.
Did I ever tell you about my visit to Mexico where I got to visit some supermarkets, some Albertsons of all things in Mexico in Chihuahua, and the coolest thing I learned was all of the signs are hand lettered. Now, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth before you were born, Nicholas. Before
you were born when dinosaurs roamed the earth? Okay, really dating yourself there.
Yeah, well, that's
Methuselah.
My kids. Yeah, that's that. Well, you and my daughters. No, in the old days, before printers were ubiquitous, you letter, 99 cents, and there were special markers and everything you used to letter, and lettering was quite the skill. I happen to be good at that. Well, computers and laser printers and all the stuff changed that. So I go to the store in Mexico, and this was about 2011, I guess.
Put your mic a little closer to your mouth. You bumped it.
Okay, sorry. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, I go to, it was a food deal. So we're going to various supermarkets there to see their products and stuff. And I notice all these signs are hand lettered. And I'm like, what? So I finally said, what's the story on this hand lettering? Because I happen to know from experience, that's not all that easy. He said, oh, yeah. He said, pre-printed signs are considered cheap in Mexico. And I went, okay, that's interesting. I mean, it's a little bitty weird thing. I don't know what that means exactly.
I don't know either.
No,
Mike Hurley says, Ty does some of what I think would be considered business consulting. I assume it's privileged. What's the line for non-legal services being privileged? Look, if you're talking to a lawyer, it is legal services.
Everything we do is legal service. That's our story. When you practice the type of law that I do, which really does, overlap a lot of things, I bet half of the advice I give in a given day isn't really strictly legal advice. It's what do you think about this? Or, what are the ups and downs? I mean, because the thing is, when a client calls and says, I got a question, what do you think about this? Or what are you going to go? Well, that's not a legal question. You better talk to a business. Okay, actually, a lot of lawyers would be that stupid, but I'm not, But very astute observation.
He also says, on the silly end, a lawyer does a grocery store run. Would the receipt be privileged? No.
Oh.
Now, a lawyer does helps negotiate. I'm trying not to. A lawyer helps negotiate a purchase agreement for the grocery store owner between someone else. Those notes about the negotiation would be privileged.
Yeah.
Ninja Bread Man says, Dad works for the government, essential worker, but also owns small business mowing lawns. Resumed mowing last week. No employees other than him. No 1099s. Uses a credit union. Can he apply? Should he? Is there an application fee? Yes, he can apply if a bank will take him. Should he apply?
No application fee.
Should he apply? Probably. And no application fee.
Yeah, because look, if you got paid, you just got to find some way to
you just have to prove it out.
And the proof in that. Look, take your bank statement. Give your bank statement to him, or not take them, but attach that to the file. I mean,
Yeah, especially if you have a nice segregated out business banking account, something like that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
If you have cash receipts and stuff like that, produce the receipts. Whatever they ask for, produce it. If you're not filing taxes on it, don't.
Yeah. You don't want your loan application to not tie in with your income tax return. That's a very good point too. The thing is, it's like this. If this thing is going to actually work, then the banks simply aren't going to be able to underwrite. They're going to be in a situation where they go, did it say how long he's in business? Yep, click. Does that match up with what we have in our file? Click. And that's it. I mean, they simply can't assess your actual credit worthiness and this thing get done in the time frame that the statute requires and that the president requires. And here's the thing: if the president has so much leverage over the banking industry and most industries, they rarely use it. but they have a staggering amount of leverage. I believe our current president understands that very well and won't hesitate.
Yeah.
So, but yes, absolutely go do it.
Ninja Bread. Oh, wait. Emery Kalame says, always be de-annexing. JCF Data says, evening, Nick. Evening, Ty. Hope you and your families are all safe and healthy. Mine are.
Thank you.
So what do you think about Navy fires USS Theodore Roosevelt captain days after he pleaded for help for sailors with coronavirus?
Absolutely should have fired him. Sorry, guys. He went outside the chain of command.
He released a letter, right?
Yeah.
An internal memo or something?
Yeah. And look, I mean, this is the military. This is not a public school. This is not a corporation. This is the freaking military. The chain of command is necessary for the military to do its job. And this captain probably was overwhelmed by concern for his people. Believe me, I can understand that. But he allowed himself to get overwrought, and you just can't let him get away with it, because if they all start that, the military turns into an armed mob.
And as much as I detest from a personal perspective the weak protections provided by the UCMJ, when you join the military, know you are giving up your rights as a civilian to participate in a level of government with a level of authority and responsibility that is different than the average person. You just do it. You know you're going under UCMJ. You know that the chain of command matters. You get broken down through boot camp and built back up as a different type of person, which comes with its own set of baggage. And I'm not saying this is universally good or anything like that, but but you're going to
come out of the thing a different person.
Yeah, and you know that. That's not a surprise, I don't think, to many, if any, people going into the military today.
We came out of law school different.
Yeah.
We were even more opinionated and obnoxious than we were when we went.
That's only because our professors kept touching us.
Right, that's it. Yeah. Real quick, a philosophical question that we don't have to get into, but let's revisit it at some point. Your point's well taken about the UCMJ, and I agree. What about when we had the draft and it was compulsive?
It's a little different.
Isn't it though? I mean, it's an interesting question, because your whole argument, as it should be, is, look, you know what you were getting yourself into. But
Mike, a little closer again.
Yeah, sorry.
You're fine.
Fine. Yeah.
Yep.
But if you were forced into the military and then stripped of your constitutional rights accordingly, that's
different.
Isn't it though? Yeah. Anyway,
that's why we've largely eliminated the necessity of a draft
let's get really drunk with the big brains and throw that out there.
Sounds good. Yeah, we could do that.
That'd be fun.
D-Man DOG 056 says, so Ty, your opinion on the U.S. Marine Corps slimming down and getting rid of a lot of armor, including all their M1 Abrams tanks and most standard artillery guns. My dad served in the Corps 75 to 78, and he feels it's stupid.
I feel it's stupid. I agree with your dad. The Marine Corps is a medium weight elite conventional strike force. What this ill-advised thing appears to me to be is an attempt to turn them into highly mobile light infantry, and we've already got plenty of that. We've got that in the Army. The Army light divisions are already capable of that. You know, a lot of Marines are going to wind up dead in a war because some Marine commandant decided he wanted to do something different. Yeah. And I agree with your dad completely.
Bad Vibe says, wait, don't you have to be careful on some investments due to kiting laws? Maybe I have it wrong, but I thought there were laws about loans and certain investments. No, you can take a loan and then you can now kiting laws are different. Kiting funds is to withdraw from one account, deposit into another account, and then float that money and immediately withdraw it and deposit it back to sort of double the amount of apparent money that you have before a check clears.
And yes, kiting too is an almost archaic thing, right?
It's really hard to do now.
Yeah, no, I had a friend one time who I was in high school. He was a check kiting master. He had like 5 different checking accounts, and I mean, he kited money for months. and then someone died in the family, and his parents dragged him out of town where he couldn't manage the kiting thing, and
Ooh.
the whole. Oh yeah, and it came crashing down. Of course, his parents were old school in those days, and you write a hot check. Oh my God, I don't think he ever got his mother's foot off of his head.
It is funny because I met people who wrote hot checks all the time working at Wells Fargo, but you talk about writing a hot check with my parents. And like the idea is, and people used to get convicted for that. Like that was it still is, but it's rarely enforced now. That was a criminal charge. You defrauded the Federal Reserve of the U.S. government.
Yeah, there's that. Well, the thing is, checks. When my grandmother, I learned this in the 1940s and 50s. Okay, you didn't have printed checks. Okay, you go to the grocery store, and the grocery store would have a pad of checks, blanks. You'd tear one off and you'd fill in your information and write the check. Okay. So there was such a built-in honor system kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. But no, I mean, of course, growing up in the grocery business, boy, if I'd ever bounced a check, that'd have been almost as bad as being busted shoplifting.
Right.
Because
what do you think about old people are funny because they always write checks. Like when I get in line at a grocery store behind like an 80-year-old person, I know it's going to take 10 minutes because they're going to write a check. But what about old people at strip clubs? Do they write checks and then stuff them in the girls like G-string?
Why are you doing this to me?
I'm just curious if you've ever been in line at a strip club and had to wait behind the old person stuffing.
Why would I know that?
I'm sorry, is your name Crystal or Diamond?
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Say it.
Sorry. Slut.
Yeah. Did you ever show on your show the photograph I sent you of the I don't know if I told this or not. So I was at the hospital, actually to see your grandma.
Oh, the consult room?
Yeah.
No, I didn't send that one.
Riffed so much on consulate that I walk around the corner and there's this door that says consulate. And I went, what the hell? And I look at it again and finally it resolves consult. My brain had wired itself to just adjust. So I sent it to you. Did you see the same thing when you first glanced at it?
Oh, I absolutely did. Here it is. I'm showing it to the stream right now.
Yeah. I mean, you just,
I absolutely saw.
I just glanced at it and saw consulate again. Yeah, other side, we are absolutely making fun of you. Sorry.
Next.
Oh, by the way, weren't you going to ask me something about being honorable and nice and all those things to opponents now?
Well, I mean, you have been honorable and nice to opponents for a long time.
Yeah. Don't expect that to continue.
Because, I mean, I've noticed some issues with the appeal briefs that, someone who is quote unquote honorable and nice might sort of give deference.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. No, I mean, we're going to take the acts that we're entitled to take, and we're going to do our level best. So,
well, that'll be interesting to see. Lord Blackwin. Oh, to really quickly answer Bad Vibes' question, there's literally nothing wrong at all with borrowing money and then reinvesting that money. Typically, for the average person in the average environment on the average day, there's no way you're going to borrow money at a bank and then reinvest it at a better rate than what the bank is charging you. For your average investor and consumer, that's just not going to happen. Now, if you become a high net worth individual and you're able to borrow a large sum at a very low rate due to a relationship or whatever that you have with the bank, you can then reinvest it in some alternative or higher risk investments that have a higher rate of return than what the bank is charging you. And you may be able to, I think it's arbitrage, right? That's the
term.
you may be able to arbitrage that money. Typically, the banks do the arbitrage in their favor, where they're lending to you at a higher rate than they are borrowing from another bank. So that's how that works. There's nothing illegal or wrong about it at all. It's just typically difficult for people to do that. We're in a special time right now where some people have access to 1 to 4% interest rate money on potentially quite a bit, 20 to hundreds of thousands of $20,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on your payroll. You could, in theory, borrow at 1, 2, 3%, reinvest that in like a REIT or something like that at 7, 8%, virtually guaranteed, and you could make a lot of money on that.
Now, beware. You are signing an affidavit. It's not an affidavit. It's effectively you're making a statement where you're saying that you're gonna make a good faith effort to use these funds for payroll and stuff like that. Okay, but here's the thing.
Those funds may free up other funds, is what I'm saying.
That's the problem with the whole thing, right? It's money's fungible. So, but here's the other thing too. We're talking about an annual interest rate of either 0.5% or 1%. There's virtually no cost to simply taking out the loan, and in a couple of months, if you don't need it, well, pay it all back and add $1. I mean,
yeah.
There is no good reason not to try to get in on this.
Right.
So there's just not.
Next, Lord Blackwind says, quick question. I got into 40K and got a Drukhari kit. What are your top 3 Xenos factions? Anything other than the Tau, but I'm going to say my top is Necron because I love Necrons. Second, I'm going to go Eldar. Third, the Tau is latent homosexual, so I'm going to go, I think I go Orc over Drukhari. I don't like the space pirate bit. It's a weird bit for me. I like regular traditional Eldar more than Drukhari.
What would you predict my favorite Space Marine factions are? Kind of say in order the top 3
of all Space Marine factions.
Yep. No, I'm sorry. No, 40K factions. So,
but this was just Xenos that he said.
Right. Yeah.
So you're saying all of them.
I'm just asking you just to predict. Out of the population of like Tau, Space Marine, Imperial Guard, whatever. What would you anticipate?
I say you go Guard first because of the heavy armor.
Okay.
I say your next one is Orc. And I say third is... I'm going to go Tau.
You're pretty good. Yeah, basically. I do like Space Marines too because of their heavy armor.
Yeah.
So that would be I'm going to give you credit for the correct answer because you identified why I like the Guard. And so therefore, nicely played. Yeah, that's about right. The thing about the Tau is I find them jarringly inappropriate for the 40K universe because they
love the look of the Tau.
I do too.
But I have to hate them on Space Commie principle.
Okay.
That's it. And also because Spectre.
I just don't think they fit visually in the 40K universe. They are just basically a very classic high-tech sci-fi army. But 40K is not high-tech sci-fi. It's a different thing entirely. Of course, they're popular, so I guess that. And I'm sorry, Necron, really?
Oh, I love it.
They have a big shoebox that they've. I mean, what is that?
Oh, I don't like their stupid pyramids. I like their melee or their infantry units are just. Yeah, I love the aesthetic.
I like this. Now I like the Terminator skeleton looking dudes. They look pretty cool. And
I like the Pariah Squad. Man, yeah. I just like. I like the flayed ones wearing the skin of their enemies over their metal bodies. It's just cool.
Yeah, now make no mistake. In my opinion, that they fit squarely in the 40K universe.
Yeah.
But no, I think the Tau are just too clean and they're too nice and they're too high techy and they're just too Star Trek.
But I like their beam weapon. Yeah. That's what I love about the Tau. They got beam weapons and mech suits, and that gets me in the feels. But I just have to oppose the space communism.
Yeah, I've got a number of towel miniatures I've painted, models I've painted because I like their look, but
Nerd.
just
Sorry. Go ahead.
like I said, Gandalf, you're the one that showed up at my house with the dwarves.
BTL Video Production says, I know you said Monica's chompers would disrespect the game, but with how hefty she is, pretty sure. Let me just blank out ties here. But
No,
with
I
how
don't care. I'm laughing because it's funny.
No. You're not even on this stream right now. It's just two of me. That's what's happening.
Right. Okay. There you
But
go.
with how hefty she is, pretty sure her real teeth were taken by the diabetes. She's just got dentures. Therefore, Ron can still be professionally cucked by Drex. Oh, come on. The Big Red Bear. Stop laughing at that, sir. The Big Red Bear says, man, I'm dipping into the super chats today, lol. I thought in February the pandemic was going to get out of control because I could see what was happening in Europe. I knew that Asia went on lockdown. This is a known issue. Alistor's Knight says, Bill Gates warned us 5 years ago that we weren't ready for a pandemic during the Ebola outbreak. He said that if we started prepping today, day of his talk, we could be ready for a serious outbreak. Hell, if we started prepping in October of last year, we could have been ready for a serious outbreak.
Making an absolutely blindingly obvious statement. There was nothing profound about that statement. And oh, by the way, he's not exactly correct because, Nick, you're right.
Yeah.
If we had just simply built the stockpile of masks and ventilators that we needed, rebuilt it last year, we didn't need 5 years to prepare for this.
And the crazy thing, though, is if we built them, it would... Guys, your insurance companies would be paying for all those masks and ventilators. This is the hard part about a market economy, is preparing for a pandemic that is unpredicted. And I know, yes, some Chinese guy in 2018 whined about the Kung flu. I get it, but no one predicted this before, at best, January of this year.
Yeah.
And there's just no way in a market economy to automatically predict for a pandemic that
because you got to predict for all the other equally improbable occurrences.
It's the challenger problem.
Yeah.
As laid out by Malcolm Gladwell in, I believe, What the Dog Saw, when he also used the challenger as a perfect example of why 9/11 was such a problem and why hindsight doesn't work in predicting policy going forward. That the challenger had a yellow caution on the O-ring that was faulty. The Challenger had something like 50,000 caution flags come up in the pre-launch preparations, and the previous launches of other shuttles had cautions on the faulty O-rings as well, and they held up.
Blew up.
Right. And that's the problem. The day 9/11, we knew that a plane was going to fly into the tower because we got an anonymous tip some point out. The CIA had 75,000 active tips on potential terrorist attacks at the time that tip came in. And you can't predict all of them. Big systems with small issues that lead to huge problems are too specific. And the big system problem can't be prepared for in a market economy. If you have a tyranny economy, you can prepare for all of the things by forcing people to do this, but you're going to, by fiat, mandate a massive increase in cost and an economic impossibility, preparing for every eventuality. And it works in tyranny for a while, and then it stops, just as the Soviet Union.
As the people that run tyrannies are piss poor at figuring out what the likely exposures are. That's the whole thing. I'm sorry, if you're applying 2020 hindsight, seriously, you're a moron. It's really just that simple. Criticize the government because the government should have gone on and rebuilt the stockpile. Okay, because that was something. See, that there is no excuse for that, because the stockpile existed for a problem. The problem occurred, and the stockpile should have been rebuilt up, and instead it wasn't. And oh, by the way, while some of that fault can legitimately be assigned to Trump in that he didn't address it either, Obama didn't address it for 8 years. Jerry Brown literally eliminated a stockpile of ventilators and so forth to save a little dinky amount of money in the California budget. So once again, you self-righteous imbeciles, your people are just as bad, if not worse. And so I'm sorry, my side's just gonna point at your hypocrisy and laugh, you know. And the thing is, I'm gonna be very self-righteous about it because I'm not holding your people to the same standard. I'm only pointing out that you are a lying scumbag when you say that Trump is uniquely horrible for not seeing something when Granny Winebox is out there doing the same thing.
I like box wine.
Yeah.
It's good for law school parties.
Yeah, the box of wine. Yeah, I remember one night
box of Malbec will go a long way.
Well, again, back in the old days when box of wine first became a thing, actually one of your uncles both of your uncles were involved in this unfortunate incident.
0% surprised.
Yeah. It was a Monday night football game. The Cowboys were playing the Eagles, and I, brought the beer over. One of your uncles brought a box of wine. I'll let you decide which one it was.
I know exactly who it was.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. So anyway, so we're at the beer supply was inadequate to the task. So about halftime occurs, and the beer's has already run out. Well, what could possibly go wrong by switching over to the box of wine? Well, so anyway, Cowboys come out. Herschel Walker Herschel gets the kickoff and runs it back for a touchdown. And I mean, changes the whole momentum of the game. And suddenly the Cowboys are back in. Cowboys, and we're drinking them.
You literally just described every game of Tecmo Bowl I ever played on the normal Nintendo was receiving Herschel Walker. I always played as the Cowboys because they didn't have Oilers in Tecmo Bowl. They had it in the next one, Tecmo Super Bowl.
Oh, when he was good. I mean, but anyway, so doing the box of wine thing, right? Because well, Cowboys win, and we're all hurrah, and all this kind of stuff, and everybody goes home, and about that time, the box of wine begins to start, churning. Well, the hallway in my home at that time was an interior hallway with no windows or doors or anything, and we always had a habit. I'd go down the hallway, close the hallway door, and lock it because we'd had an intrusion at some point. So when you're that drunk, you make certain things just seem like something that'd be okay to do. Pro tip: never lock yourself in a completely, totally lightless place when you've had a half a box of wine and more beer than you ought to take, because all of a sudden you lose all reference points. And it was, anyway, that was really the last time I ever messed with a box of wine. I just, anyway.
Yeah. Last time, everybody thinks, not everybody. Some people think I drink a lot, and I would challenge them to put me in a room with any of my law school classmates and ask me to hold even a minute of their liquor. It's
sorry, and I don't mean this to I don't mean this to disparage you, but you couldn't match some of the other members of your family that I know.
No, not even a chance. Random Blaze says, Ty, the part that gets me is that Funimation thinks that someone who VAs hires, rights, and directs English anime in the U.S. without a contract change is just a contract worker. I think they should sue Funny for overwork and low pay. Hey, look, the Funimation employees should probably unionize. They have absolute garbage working conditions for shit pay, and Funimation profits off of it heavily.
Funimation is here because there is no union protection, right?
I mean, there is a union, though. There is a union at Funimation, and it's the audio engineers. The audio engineers unionized, and they won. They won heavily on that. And interestingly, there are people involved in this lawsuit who were instrumental in bringing about the audio engineer union. The contractors at Funimation, if it weren't such a good old boys club, should unionize for the benefit of the younger VAs who come in and get absolutely dumped on, get no roles, they get some bit part, and then they get to struggle on the convention circuit because no one cares who they are.
Yeah. Nick, what do you think would happen? I'm just kind of curious. If mainstream America started actually paying attention to some of this anime, mainstream, middle class America, I mean, a lot of this anime is, I'm not being a prude or anything, but one of the dangerous games that Funimation and those folks are playing in this thing, they better hope this lawsuit doesn't become a big deal.
Ty, there's an anime called Rin the Nemo Sign, and it is about an immortal detective because all women can get basically in contact with these invisible spores like once every so often. And when they do, they become immortal, but they're frozen at their current age. Rin's partner is somewhere around a several century old 14-year-old girl. And and one of the scenes involves that particular girl trading sexual favors to someone for information.
Yeah, and Funimation, are they streaming that? Is that part of their thing?
I don't remember if that's Funimation. Yeah. I think it is, though.
You guys really ought to be thinking about soccer moms calling their elected representatives and screaming about kiddie porn.
Yeah.
This is, and I, of course, am making no threats. I'm just simply observing that this is an industry that really just kind of needs to exist and doesn't need all this drama. But
there's a hypothetical voice actor at voice actor at Funimation named Ronica Mial, who voices a high school girl in an extremely lewd anime. That
is that the one where they get their superpowers by taking their underwear off?
No, that's a separate one that Ronica Mial also voices. Yeah. I'm talking about High School DxD, which is a raunchy, sexualized high school anime. You're talking about Panty and Garter, I believe, or Panty and Stocking. Yeah. I don't know how well it would go.
Yeah, I'd like to see a North Texas jury look at that. When you're producing that kind of crap, I'm sorry, I don't mean that. Look, anime fans like it. I'm fine with that. But what I'm saying is, when you're producing that kind of material, it's kind of fascinating, isn't it, to get all self-righteous about Me Too?
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's just great.
Saying,
it's just a complete lie. That's the problem. Right. Next, we've got.
They better hope the appeal goes their way.
I said that to someone just today.
Yep.
Just so. Yep. I said it. I said, you better hope the appeal goes your way. Don't get ahead of yourself, girl. Was actually the word. Next, we've got Siren Jag says, as Martinez. Ty, I was reading Volney's 500,000 word response. Did you see this part? 18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch, big hard throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked. Did Ron sneak this in? What? That's not in there, I don't think.
That wasn't in my copy of the brief.
I haven't finished the brief, so it might be in there, but what Siren says.
I haven't finished the brief either. So far, I've not come across that particular sentence.
Well, maybe I'll do a word search for cock and find it.
Please.
Those are the big ones. How long do you have, or do you got to go?
Me? Oh, I got a few more minutes.
Okay, I'm going to start burning through these as fast as possible.
And this time we really mean it.
Mario Carter 13 says, Dr. Fauci gets stimulated to maintain an election.
That's pretty good.
Carl Maley 05 says, Nick, please check out the new Astartes video. It's amazing. Oh, I will. Right. I'm going to do it right away. Dragonos says, play Vermintide with Ty. By the way, good job, Nick. I don't want to carry that boomer. S Cyber Taz says, red attracts bulls. Ron is no bull. The DCV Titan says, hey, Ty, how are you passing Woo Flu time? Work, I assume.
Working, yeah. Now, guys, I'm not getting this whole I get to stay home and paint miniatures and stuff. That's really not my reality right now.
Kuro Mythos says, I personally sleep with a 1911 45 under my pillow. I don't recommend.
You're just dang cool.
I don't recommend it unless you have a thick pillow. Thing hurts at times. Look, I couldn't because my hand would creep up and pull the trigger.
I'm sorry. I just happen to think it's utterly badass to do that. I
would if I could. I would reach up reflexively and grab it. I have in the lake, I have a 1911 45. I had one. Mario Carter 13 says, wife vetoed, don't need a second hair trigger in bed.
Yeah, no. Mrs. Beard was not at all impressed at that particular idea.
J Meister J says, Nick, Rin Daughter of the Nemo sign, is in fact on Funimation's website for streaming and is dubbed by them, but also maybe tell Ty about interspecies reviewers.
No, you don't really have to. You really, really, really don't have to.
I'll explain it to you on a private call sometime.
But the thing is, I mean, we're gonna, if the appeal goes our way, and we get back to real court,
we'll see what comes out.
We're going to do everything we need to do to win, and if that means pointing out the flagrant hypocrisy of some of the parties, we're going to do it. And the thing about it is, if that genie ever gets out of the hat, out of the bottle, you're not putting it back in, because if a bunch of middle class parents start thinking y'all are streaming kiddie porn, that good luck with that one.
Then I'll suddenly be on Funimation's side. It'll be embarrassing. GRP.
Well, what will happen is grandstanding politicians will start having hearings. I mean, that's invariably how these things play out, right?
Can you imagine? I can't say what I was going to. Can you imagine some of these idiots at a congressional hearing? Oh my God, I want to see that. That'd just be funny. I don't care how it turns out. I just want to watch them score.
Oh no, yeah, no, I'd love to see your show on that, because that would be,
GRP poll says, when did Q beat you down and take your wallet? Every time he comes over. Romeo Garbo says, hey Nikki, I heard we were supposed to get some snow Friday. Isn't that just effing great? Come on, don't do this. This state
don't
would
you
be
use harsh language in this on the super chats.
This state would be so beautiful if it weren't so damn cold. My other house, which is hard to sell right now.
It is so damn cold, isn't it?
My other house, which is already hard to sell in a pandemic, I don't want to refill the propane right. Cynic in Chief says 90-year-old man died in Tyler. Rip Jim Bullock. Oh, Jim's not old.
No.
And he's not in Tyler. Phoenix Animation says, hey, Nick and Ty, I have 2 artists working on a project. I need 1 more artist and animator. The artists are independent contractors right now. Any advice? Well, they should.
Well, I'm not sure what kind of advice you want. First of all, make sure they are actually independent contractors. Read the IRS form, because if they're not and you get audited, it's going to cost you money. Okay.
Yep.
But if you're asking about the loan programs and stuff, yeah, payments to independent contractors go into the payroll cost calculation. They absolutely do.
Yeah. Backgoat says, Ty, I know you were hiding a Martinez a Marantz turntable with built-in 8-track players circa 77. Pan the camera, let's see it. I actually have a turntable and 8-track player in one of those big cabinets with the built-in speakers.
I do not have one of those in this room of my house.
In this room. Got it. Squally says, in need of liquor suggestions to get me through isolation here in New York. Currently, gentlemen have a Tennessee honey, bird dog, blackberry, and rye. Help a noob out as she finally navigates Teespring. Look, you got to just go get something better than what you've got. If it says honey in it, don't buy it. If it's got a fruit in it, don't buy it. The rye is good. Rye whiskey. Get a Basil Hayden's bourbon. Just get that.
So you'd rule Schlitz right on out, right?
What is that?
Never mind.
Thank you. Gawker's Death Rattle says, can't remake B5 without Andreas Katsoulis. Rip.
Totally agree. And what a great character arc from him. He started as a really kind of petty sleazebag and turns into this epic figure.
Is this an anime?
No, this is Babylon 5. Jakar, the Narn. There's an episode. I'm sorry. One of my favorite, my most favorite episode of Babylon 5 is it's called something from Avalon. Michael York plays someone who thinks that he's King Arthur, complete with sword and armor and everything. And Jakar, Michael and this guy thinking he's Arthur goes into the really sleazy parts of the station, and some woman has been preyed upon by bad guys, and so he goes to them. I demand, sir, that you give her back her thing, and they attack him, and they outnumber him. And says, "Are there any who would stand with me?" When Jakar's had some drinks, and he goes, I will, and he leaps into the middle of it. It's a really good episode. But at the end, he and Arthur are getting really drunk, and Jack goes, I liked the way their head went thump when it hit the ground.
You are such a nerd. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, you can tell obviously I'm sleepy, and all of my defenses have fallen. But
Polyfrog64 says, did you hear about the 1 million masks confiscated from a Brooklyn man? What are your thoughts? Do they have the right to take his property? They technically, I mean, they do have a right to take the property.
The Constitution is going to uphold that taking.
They have to adequately compensate him at the fair market value, which the government will argue is what it is normally. He will argue what it is now, and the court will meet somewhere closer to the government side than his.
Yep.
That's how it'll go.
Because the court works for the government.
Yeah. Chungalus says, do either of y'all much care for grain alcohol? Haven't had it since college, but these last couple weeks I've gone through 2 or 3 750 milliliter bottles of it. Whiskey's a grain alcohol.
Yeah.
So I like whiskey.
Does Everclear qualify as a grain alcohol?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There were 2 things that we did with Everclear when I was young and stupid. One is we would cut a small wedge out of a watermelon, stick it in there, and let the watermelon load up.
Oh.
The other was certain people, and I did not do this because this really is stupid, would take a mouthful of Everclear and then take a lighter and go and blow fire everywhere.
Yeah.
And invariably, you don't want to do that really when you're sober, but invariably somebody's going to get their face burned off or their eyebrows burned off or something, and
I will say this.
I'm glad that I don't even hang out with people that did that anymore.
The highest proof alcohol I will drink is about 120 proof. And that is a Lagavulin 12-year or a Glenlivet Nadura. I didn't know
that Glenlivet was that potent. Wow.
No, most of it's not. They have 3 Naduras. They're 15-year whiskeys, and they're finished in 3 different ways. They have one that's Oloroso, which is finished in sherry casks. They have one that I really like, which is finished in it's finished in a smoked with a smoky finish with some peaty cask, and it's really, God, it's good. All 3 of them are good. The smoky one's my favorite. I just don't remember the name. I've got the bottle somewhere over there. Still, but
by the Marantz turntable, no doubt.
Yeah. Listen.
The 8-track.
Oh, I can't show both you and the stream. Never mind.
Yeah,
here, I'll show you. Look see, those are bottles.
Golf clap.
Anyway, next, Cole Kiddo says, my fiance has never filed taxes, never worked since she's had a career, been a career college student. She's Chinese. Will she be able to get some of this Trump cash? That's going to be tough.
I'm trying. Boy, don't hold me. Don't hold me this. No.
Okay,
not.
guys, I'll show you 2. Here we go. Yeah. These are empties that I have kept for whatever reason. Any number of reasons.
Yeah, I had it in front of me. I think there's a restriction for people who don't live in the United States and for non-citizens, but I'm getting kind of worn down, so don't.
Yeah.
But look, okay, once again, guys, there's an application form. Just go fill it out. It's literally 2 pages, and then get online and actually type it in. What?
People are laughing because they saw the Bill Cosby "Time Flies" book on the shelf. That's my running joke. It's time flies when you're on Quaaludes. That's the joke. I didn't even buy the book when we bought the house. The previous owner left probably about 70 books. And so most of the books that you saw, including Dead Air, which is a good Tonka joke, that's in there. Tender, like there's a bunch of religious books by Billy Graham and stuff like that. Those are all from the previous owner, but I found that Bill Cosby book and I had to display it prominently. Time flies when you're on Quaaludes. Anyway, Richard Carr says, hey guys, thanks for the entertainment. Night shift is brutal. I was informed today that my father's developed a cough and a fever. Mom is okay so far, but I'm worried. Been praying all day. Keep praying, buddy. Keep praying.
Yeah.
Boag says Amazon employee dildos are not essential items. I mean, some men named Ron would disagree. Bad Vibe says, in the words of Ronald Reagan, the best social program is a job. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Hughes says, what are the odds of a world war once this is over and the world starts asking China for reparations? And what are the odds of U.S. joining? I think low, but I do think there's a possibility to renegotiate some debt.
Look, here's the thing. Nuclear weapons change everything. There isn't going to be a world war with China. I'm not saying there won't be a war, but how do you have a world war against a country with nuclear weapons?
It's scary. You don't want to do it.
No, I guess I'll answer that question. You do it when people badly miscalculate. But of course, our political leaders would never miscalculate. Now, would they?
No, they're all wise.
Okay, I withdraw what I just said.
Accipiter Ossizer says, can't wait to see Patreon and Bankruptcy. No, not yet. Jason of the Great Awakening says, is this the wrong time to point out lawyers are bad at math? Yes. No, it's never the wrong time. Lawyers are bad at math.
They are, yes.
Lando Lake says, look, if we were engineers, we would have nailed all those questions without even thinking about it. Lando Lake says, what if you are a sole proprietor but also teach classes for college part-time? Is PPP still a good idea? If you have any 1099 income, if you have any sole proprietor income or otherwise business ownership income, yes, it's a good idea. Take the money.
Yeah, I need to look up the actual legal definition of sole proprietor, because sole proprietor, I always thought just meant I work for myself and I don't use an entity.
Yeah, that's basically it.
So to me, sole proprietor and self-employed meant the same thing. The funny thing is, it apparently doesn't, because in the statute, self-employed people get to start applying tomorrow if they're able to. Now, sole proprietor gets to start applying tomorrow. Self-employed get to do it on the 10th.
I don't know how the government would make that distinction, because many states you don't
think there is a distinction, and it's just one of those things.
In Minnesota, you don't register a sole proprietorship unless you're doing an assumed name.
Right. And again, what is the difference between self-employed and sole proprietor?
Yeah, I can't figure it out.
I don't know.
I mean, other than a superficial designation, that maybe some states have a different filing status or something like that. But I don't own a business, but I am self-employed because I just don't call it a business.
Yeah. Now listen, all you guys, I'm sorry, Nick, but all you guys, like all you sole proprietors and independent, even independent contractors, your job's easy. All you got to do is put the 1099s together. Sole proprietors and self-employed people, you're going to have to produce something to give some evidence of the amount of money you've made over the last year. They're just not going to take your word for it. So start pulling your records together. Canceled checks. I mean, that's one of the things I was thinking about too that worries me, is that, a lot of people really just don't keep records very well. Now, you can get a lot of that from your bank, but oh, wait a minute, your bank is being besieged by 28 million borrowers. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Samantha Schoner says, thanks for praying for my dad yesterday, Nick. My pleasure. The procedure was successful and he seems to be doing well. He's back home now. Great. Good.
Good for y'all.
Doug's Gaming Channel says, I wanted to ask if you would receive a check if you, at the moment, your income comes from the Department of Veteran Affairs, i.e. disability or school benefits like the GI Bill. I have no idea. What I've seen is that people on unemployment are going to get like a $600 per month boost in unemployment pay, which is great for them. And I've seen that I saw a thing today that said Social Security earners will automatically get the checks, the other stimulus checks from Trump. So if you're a Social Security earner, you're still going to get your $1,200 per adult. So that's what the news said today. I don't know.
Oh.
Jason of the Great Awakening says, if the Russians and Chinese invaded, can't we still point out how studly our men are and take all their women that can make actual sandwiches? Yes, of course.
Wolverines.
Although Russian women are pretty sturdy, I think. Charles Millen says, been a fan forever. Do you think coronavirus will help re-election of Trump or hurt him? I think the media wants it to hurt him, but I think it's helping him so far. We'll see how long it lasts.
As of right now, and boy, 6 months is a long time in politics, but as of right now, the attempt by the media to create this great hysteria has backfired spectacularly.
Yep.
Something I was going to ask you about, Nick, just real quick. What do you think about this apparent strategy of blue state governors wrecking their state from one end to the other in an attempt to hurt Trump?
Stupid plan, because they already weren't, like, Minnesota isn't going to vote for Trump. California isn't going to vote for Trump.
Well, yes, to me, it just seems like sort of, the Sheriff Bart gambit on Blazing Saddles.
Sure.
You remember?
Yeah.
Nobody move, or,
the sheriff gets it.
Sheriff gets it. Yeah.
They definitely said sheriff there.
Yeah. It's fine. But here's the thing. That worked, but that was a movie.
Yeah.
And if you're a blue state resident, I know that cognitive dissonance is probably just part of your lifestyle, but at some point, don't you get a little ticked off that your life is being made miserable so that your governor can hurt the guy that's running for president that you're already not going to vote for? I'm just curious. That to me has been the most surprising, thing here. I'm like going, I still look, our political system's adversarial. I don't really get mad at the other side for, fighting hard, but, Andrew Cuomo is a perfect example, or as I like to call him, Fredo the Elder. He is ruining his state.
God, I want some fettuccine Alfredo. Why would you do this? Sorry, he's ruining his state. I didn't mean to interrupt your thing.
Well, no, now I want some. So why did you do it? Yeah, but I mean, I'm just giving that
Revenge.
as are that dipshit de Blasio. I mean, how about you guys do your job and actually try to protect your citizens and shut up about politics? Because the thing about it is, nobody wants to admit this, but it's absolutely true. If you watch, Trump does not generally initiate attacks. I'm not saying he's never done it, but by and large, he retaliates. Now, he retaliates a lot hard with a disproportionate force, but I got no problem with that. So I don't know. Maybe you guys want to just do your jobs. There's an old saying that says if you want to know if you've got an idiot for a governor or an idiot for a mayor, if they spend more time talking about stuff like global warming than doing their jobs, the answer is, yeah, you got an idiot. Or some other cause celebre out in the world. My opinion.
M. Franklinstein says, what evidence do you need to provide to avoid paying the 10% IRA early withdrawal penalty? Whatever your IRA holder asks for to show the hardship withdrawal is necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, just ask your IRA holder. Say, look, I need to make a hardship withdrawal from my IRA. I need to avoid the 10% penalty. What do I need to give you to go ahead and back that up? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you flat out, because they're going to withhold it from the withdrawal if you don't provide it. So just ask them what you need. Nexi says the cruise ship was armored A1 superclass icebreaker. So that cruise ship was an ice-breaking ship, and
real is that serious?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Admiral Spore says also ignores how the opposite called the initial travel bans on China and EU in March as xenophobic. Now suddenly he was not taking it seriously. Yeah, we addressed this earlier, and Admiral Spore pointed out that we had already addressed this. But yeah, it just bears repeating.
It does. Because we've got it in writing and in video.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that no one took it seriously in the U.S. No one in power. Yes, there were random people saying we need to take it seriously, but no one in power did, because we didn't have the cases.
And
I still don't take that.
Well,
I refuse to take it seriously.
I would go down to the labor exchange and get you one of them cases.
I'm just saying, I refuse to take it seriously.
Well, and by the way, look, we have been a fat, dumb, happy country for the last 100 years. We didn't take the Japanese seriously until Pearl Harbor occurred. This is an American tradition, unfortunately.
Yeah. Never mind. Broly the Mighty says, Ty, Nick does not like cops. What about you? Do you like cops?
Depends on the cop.
Okay, Sargon
I
of
am a
Akkad.
bitter. I am something of a skeptic of overly militarized police.
So skeptic and depends on. We have Sargon of Ty Beard right here. Sorry, go on.
Okay. No, it's a hard job to do. And I'm going to use the old cliche 95% of cops are fine, but I do think police officers do themselves a disservice when they do that code of silence stuff because they're protecting a few people that make them all look really bad. Now, on the other hand, I'm sure they actually could give a pretty good reason practically why they do that. But no, I don't hate the police. I don't like seeing them armed with machine guns and wearing body armor when they're driving down the street. I kind of think that you ought to join the army for that sort of stuff.
I actually do like the cops that I know personally, by the way. It's not that I don't like cops. It's that out of professional respect for them, I don't trust them. And I think that you should be extremely cautious when dealing with them. There's a difference.
Oh, I agree on that point entirely. If you're the target of a criminal, of any kind of interaction where you're possibly presumed to be a criminal, you watch yourself because the resources of the state are very, very formidable. And so I like the Pot brothers. Shut the bleep up.
Exactly.
Of course, we would make so much less money as lawyers if people actually followed that advice.
Oh my God, but it'd make cases so easy.
It would, yeah.
They would, like, guys, if you just never ever answer the phone when the cops call, or if they say, hey, I'm from the police, you just hang up or say, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you, and hang up. Something like half the cases or more wouldn't even get charged. It's crazy when you start working in criminal defense. How many cases wouldn't even get charged? And I mean never talking to cops. Not like, oh, I talked to him, but I didn't say anything. No, you did, though. Because they will just write down one thing you said and not the rest of it, and then you said something. Not talking to them. Saying, no, thank you. Click. Let me tell you a secret. You don't have to answer the phone. You don't have to answer the door. Unless they have a warrant, you don't have to talk to them ever. Ever. And it never helps you. It literally never does. So
I have a friend who's a criminal defense attorney. He's a former Marine Corps fighter pilot, right? And he is just a mean, one of those guys. If you want somebody to stand in the breach, just go down swinging. He's your guy. And occasionally get him talking about, some of the clients doing that sort of stuff. I mean, you could just see the veins bulging. It's like,
I can't tell you every plea agreement I've ever had to negotiate, anything that was not a dismissal, every plea agreement was because specifically my clients talked to the police.
Yeah.
Without it, many of them would have never been charged.
If you are being investigated, it's a fact of life. They are on the other side. And that does not disparage the police, and it doesn't. That's
no,
just
it's
the way
because they're good at their jobs that this happens.
It's
when you realize what their job is to take problem and get conviction, and that's not a discredit. They're to find the person that they can most reasonably ascertain will get a conviction on a problem, because that is how they determine who is guilty of it. It doesn't necessarily mean the person's guilty, and it doesn't mean the cops are doing anything nefarious. They're just trying to build the case against someone for the problem that has arisen. Once you realize that that is their job and that they are very, very good at it, you understand why you never, ever talk to them.
The reason Nick and I are doing this, guys, is I really don't care if you're guilty of a crime, if you lose your, if you stupidly admit to it. Just don't assume if you're actually innocent. Don't assume that the truth is somehow going to win out. Our legal system just isn't structured quite that way. Would you agree, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying.
Yep. And it doesn't matter whether the cops are nice or whatever. Most cops are. Cops are nice, good dudes. They're doing the work. The work just puts them at odds with you, and in your own self-interest, don't do it. And hire an asshole to tell them no, because that's the best part. I love to do it. Skeetneat says the Quartering is going to do a video of a comic book shop owner, and I shat my pants when it's the one that I go to. Admech and Necron are Apex race. So there you go. Spectre06 Gaming says, I sleep with my FN57 because I hate money. The DCV Titan says interspecies reviewers equals bros rating brothels. That's true. Phoenix Lord Osterman retracted his chat. Thanks. Spectre06 Gaming says Aegis cruisers can stop Scuds and probably ICBMs. Spectre06 Gaming says the answer to the VA question is yes on disability, not voice actor, Veterans Affairs. That VA. Yes on disability. If you're on VA disability, you still get your Trump bucks. Phoenix Lord Osterman says Necrons over Eldar Nick. Dislike, unsub, leaving chat forever. I'll see you on Twitch. Thanks, buddy.
That'll teach you.
Okay, next we've got a couple left. Gamerhands Jr. Inc. says, hey you, Mr. Rackets and Mr. Beard. Huge fan of your work. By the way, also, can you accept my friend requests on Facebook? No, I don't take new friends on Facebook. Also to the chat, if you want them Trump bucks, spam the money emotes, Mo money. Also, did you tell him you got picked off of your feet? No, I don't talk about embarrassing things. Marsupial Gamer says, hey, Nick, thanks to the shutdown, I lost my income and my home, and I'm in a pretty dire situation. Sorry to shill, but I've got to GoFundMe so I can eat and sleep in a bed until my first paycheck from Walmart. Just search GoFundMe for Marsupial. Thanks so much. Hey, a lot of you guys know Marsupial Gamer. If you want to help him out, check that out on GoFundMe. Search for Marsupial. Now is the time to come together as communities, but you guys make that decision. Tiger Ray says, Jehovah's Witnesses. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Jehovah's Witnesses are suing YouTube for the identity of a critic of their religion. Critic is filing pro se and alleges pedophilia and directly addresses the judge in the filing. It's spicy, but has surprisingly good arguments. Will you take a look at it? Email me. I know nothing about it.
I haven't heard about that one either. I wonder what they're suing him
I have no
for.
idea.
Yeah. Defamation, I guess, probably.
Probably. A religion can't sue for defamation.
No, well, yeah, right. I mean,
they probably will try, but they can't. Like the religion itself is not a defamable
it's
entity.
It's not an entity. It has no legal. It's not a legal party. But anyway,
Kat says, Ty, sorry you have to reply to those briefs. They seem to be business as usual from the lower court. I don't think the Supreme Court, or it says SCOA, is going to appreciate the voluminous nonsense, especially the GoFundMe/pedo BS.
Oh, no, the Court of Appeals.
Yeah.
COA, Court of Appeals.
I think that would be, but it's SCOA, so it's like Supreme Court of Appeals, but I think they mean Court of Appeals.
I think they mean Court of Appeals. Probably just a typo.
But hey, another example of them wasting time and money. Oh, absolutely. Knight of Hopex says the reason the government does economically ignorant things is because the Democrat Party is the Marxist Party, and too many people on our side who are supposed to oppose them are economically ignorant. 1930s protectionists. We're living our own ignorance. There you go. Mercenary X says, I work for Instacart here in California, and I have to work despite the fact that I'm diabetic. Am I able to qualify for this? And how do I do it? And what was the thing about looking up bank information and what act? It's the SBA, the Small Business Administration. They've long had a loan program, and the Small Business Administration is the place you want to look if you're like a 1099 employee or otherwise self-employed or an independent contractor. So you can check it out at sba.gov, I think, right? It's .gov?
Yeah, I think so.
Or you can just call your own bank because they'll have an SBA department that'll know what they're going to do about it. Knight of Hopex says, what we're doing now isn't even reasonable. The idea that shutting down the economy, going fascist, locking people in their homes, and then bailing out all of society is better in the long run than passively resisting corona is totally batshit bonkers. I fall on that side. I actually agree. Bad Dragonite says, is this what Jack Daniels does to you? Makes you a commie who likes early baby abortions, who hasn't seen text-to-speech. Oh, man, Ty. So disappointed. Nah, I'm kidding.
Boy, how the mighty fall, man. It is definitely a what have you done for me lately world.
Nah, I'm kidding. Love you guys. No honor. I think he means no homo. Have a good one. You too, buddy.
Well played, sir.
Not Sam Hyde says, might have already answered this. Both of my jobs are part-time. One of them as an independent contractor, editor for a small publisher. Can I get a loan on the income I earned from that job last year? Or did having steady wage cuck work ranch me? No, if you've got a 1099 miscellaneous.
No, I don't think there's a phase out just because you had W-2 income.
No. It's just if you're
in fact, I know there's not, because that's an interesting little thing, right? If I pay a 1099 contractor, it goes towards calculating my loan amount, but that same contractor can also get a loan.
Yeah.
And so no, I think you're fine.
Yeah. The W-2 is not dispositive. The only problem would be is if you only have W-2 income.
Right. Then you fall out of the definition of self-employed or independent contractor.
Bad Dragonite says, how would you guys feel if Games Workshop brought back Space Dwarves, aka the Squats, as a faction? Great, do it immediately.
Never have understood why it's such a big deal to deny the fans the Squats.
Yeah, everybody wants a Space Dwarf.
Yeah. Squats were cool, but they had biker. They had big choppers. I mean, they were.
Can you imagine what a dwarf starship would look like? That's what I want to see. Yeah. Or a dwarf Titan. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, well the dwarf Colossus, this gigantic, battle tank fortress rolling thing. I mean,
yeah.
3
more, I think. Dave Youngson says, "May I suggest Ironroot Republic's Harbinger? It's winning awards all over, and it's relatively cheap. I think that's a liquor. I would love to try it." The Coke Master says, "I'm 21 years old, and my parents claim me as a dependent, and I filed as a dependent. Will I get Trump bucks?" I have no idea, buddy. I have no idea.
No, look, guys, it's all about whether or not you're self-employed or you own a business.
Well, there's the other Trump bucks, though.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry.
Your parents may get the $500 for claiming you as a child.
Yeah, sorry.
Frankly. 2 more. 9mm Sleeping Pill says, your thoughts on the word limit on the filings? My thoughts are it's really dumb to go over the word limit without requesting an exception to it. And we'll see how the Court of Appeals deals with it, I'm guessing. And as Cybertaz says, religion can't sue. Tell that to Scientology. Well, Scientology is a jackass. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out. Did we
actually get through all of them?
We're done. I absolve you of your responsibilities, my son.
Listen, fist bump to us virtually, and I swore I would wait this one. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm sitting there kind of going, but I wanted to get through these super chats this time. So anyway,
hold on. Sorry, someone says I missed one, so let me see if I can find it. The Crowning Entertainment. Here it is. Oh yeah, I did miss this one. I apologize. I've got it now.
You want something done right.
Says, I'm a theology student who was studying to be a pastor, had to put my education on hold due to family troubles, was working to get money to go back to school. What should I do now? Can email with further. Oh man. Well,
I'm sorry. What was the dilemma?
Theology student had to postpone education due to family troubles. What should they do now? Look, theology students disproportionately pay in for their education versus what they will be paid out by their employment, and that's a rough place to be unless you're a very specialized researcher and you go into private stuff. Do whatever you want, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't really give us enough to.
You can email me, and I will try and guide you as best I can. But it's
yes, Nick, much like me, I think everyone's entitled to your opinion.
I think so too. Well, they offered to email me with more info.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not just assuming that. This is not an express assumption of the risk.
Why not? Yeah, well,
But no, certainly you're free to email me. I can help you as best I can. I can't promise anything though. You got to figure out what you want to do. I didn't figure out what I wanted to do until 2 years ago.
I want to be Thomas Sowell when I grow up.
Yeah, exactly. Not even in control of your own Twitter account. That's embarrassing. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you to my guest. Ty, don't leave. I'll say goodbye to you in private as we
Sure,
end the
sure, yeah.
stream.
As always, I enjoyed it.
And
Thank you.
I am not gonna do Twitch tonight because it's 3. I really need the rest. I'm sorry. I would love to, but
I got an 8 o'clock appointment.
that was your
Oh, well.
mistake. That was your mistake.
You know how this happened? I lost situational awareness, and I when I told you, when we set this up, I thought it was a Friday night.
Oh yeah, that was a mistake.
Rookie mistake, and you hate to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
You should have told me that Friday was the better night. I would have done it tomorrow.
I wasn't gonna. No, I'd already committed to it, and I wasn't gonna.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Hope you have a good night. Peace.
See y'all later.
Peace.